Oh, what's going on, everybody? We're here live on Thursday night again, Coffee and Cigars, here on the Ono Coffee channel. It is Thursday, July 15th, and we're back in the studio here, a little bit different setting, with my good friend Cirilo McLaine. How are you, Cirilo?
I am wonderful, wonderful. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming out. Welcome back again. It's nice to have you here. Nice to see all of you guys out there. Really appreciate you spending the time with us again on another Thursday night. And so wherever you are, whatever you're drinking, whatever you're smoking, drop those in the comments below so that we can see. And if you have any questions about coffee, cigars, gossip, what's going on in the industry, whether it's coffee or cigars, drop those in the comments too. Have any controversial statements? Drop those in the comments. We want to hear about them. And we want to make, more importantly, we want to make fun of them.
Yes.
In some level, right? So what's been going on, man? How's everything going?
Hey, man, everything is wonderful. I've had a very, very great week.
Oh, really?
Yeah. My last week, my dad got a call, come to the hospital. They found a kidney for him.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Okay, good.
Yeah, and he had been on the list for a couple of years. This is his second transplant.
Wow.
And he was about to get kicked off the list for a donated kidney because he was going to hit the age requirement.
Oh, is there a maximum age that you can get on the list?
So
Okay.
he's due to turn 71 August the 4th.
Wow. And that's the cutoff, 71?
Yeah.
Whoa.
And he got the kidney this past Friday.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome. Congratulations.
yeah.
That's
Thanks,
awesome.
man. That's awesome. I've been on cloud 9 for the last week. I went down and saw him. He was doing very well. Had a little bit of a complication after the first surgery. He had to do another surgery to remove a clot, but after that, things just started improving from there. So I'm just ecstatic.
Oh.
Really,
man, that is wonderful. That's wonderful.
And I said, okay, well, shoot, since I feel so good, call Jay, see what he doing. Let's go.
Yeah. So the deep dark secrets, you can just call me once in a while and be like, hey, kid, you got a space on the show? Sure, come on down. Come on down. Rusty says, happy Thursday evening, gents. What's going on, Rusty? How things in New
Rusty.
Jersey? And also he's saying, congratulations to your dad. There
Thanks.
That's
Thank
nice.
you.
Yeah. So we're here again. It's kind of hot here in Maryland, right?
It's extremely hot.
It's extremely hot. This has been a long.
It's bayou hot.
I've never been to the bayou.
Well, I haven't either, but I've seen
okay.
movies, and it looks really, really hot.
Yeah, it does. It does.
It's Everglades time.
Yeah. Especially right before that Ned Beatty comes out.
I've never been to the Everglades either, but I know it's hot there.
Well, it looks hot with all those droopy. What is that, Sagamore or whatever it is? It's all,
It's really hanging from the trees and stuff.
like I'm supposed to go there to New Orleans in September for a trade show,
Okay.
and all I'm thinking is like I want to get boudin, but I think you have to go outside of New Orleans to get boudin.
Yeah, because
right?
that's more of a Cajun deal, right? Not necessarily Creole, right?
Oh, is it? I mean,
I believe so.
it's not all the same.
Creole and Cajun, no, I don't. No.
No, okay.
There
Oh,
you go.
sorry. These are things I don't know.
Well, I mean, someone may correct me on that, but I've always saw Creole and Cajun being very different, whereas Creole has more of the African influence, and Cajun has more of
the French.
The French influence.
Oh.
Yeah.
I see. I didn't. Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. And that's why in different cultures, different places, you have a lot of Creole people, right? And like you can literally have.
Did I just break that?
No, I don't think so.
It just sounded like it.
Yeah. You could literally have Creole people in Caribbean islands. You know what I mean? It's like,
Oh, right.
right. Because they related to the African influence on the different cultures. Whereas Cajun seems to be very distinct to New Orleans, right? And
Right, because that French descendant. Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the way that I understand it. I might be wrong.
No, that That sounds as good a reason as any.
I mean, hey, if I'm wrong, let's all just be wrong together for a little while.
Let's all be wrong together.
That makes it right. you know they say two wrongs don't make a right, but it damn sure don't make a left neither. So
That's true. All right, so you might be watching and wondering, what in the world am I doing? So this is a Chemex, and today we'll be making the cold brew in a Chemex with ice. Now, the idea is that you're supposed to take the equal amount of ice as you are pouring in water, right? So you're going to pour essentially half the amount of water to brew your coffee, and that coffee is going to brew onto the ice. Okay, so
is it cold brew or
it will
is
be
it hot brew?
Well, it's a hot brew that's cold.
So how are you going to stop this from cracking? With the I'm interested.
Ancient Chinese secret, my friend. But the problem is that all my ice is like big chunks and they won't fit.
Well, give it time.
Okay, give it time. This is a. I have to harvest like ice from the store, and then transport it here.
You know, that's why you just throw the bag up in the air and let it crack on the floor before you put it in the freezer.
Well, so what I'm saying is that like, it's not just that. It's actually, I bring it. So we make ice at the shop, and I bag it, bring it here, and then of course it's melted. So I have to dump some of it, and then put it into a bag and I put it in the freezer. So after a while the cubes freeze together, and then I hit it with a mallet to break it up. But
isn't
sometimes
it like
it
a
just
gas
gets,
station, like right down the street, like a Royal Farms or something?
yeah, but it costs $2.35. It's expensive.
Okay.
Inting is another guy from New Jersey. What's going on, Inting? How are you? At some point, this will fall in. Anyway, we'll get to it.
Yeah.
But we don't need that. We just use it.
Well, the question becomes,
We'll use it after.
is it the only ice you have in the stove? Or in the shop?
Right now?
Yeah.
Here? No, I haven't. I'm more. But I thought this would be an.
So the philosophy is to fill it to this point of ice, and then fill it the rest of the way with
That's
hot.
right. That's right. But we're professionals, so we'll be all right.
Right. So tell me, what part of this is cold brew?
The bottom part.
So it's
So this is what they call Kyoto style. Why are they called Kyoto? I don't really know. They say it's supposed to be from Japan. Maybe it is. I don't know if I believe that.
okay.
But either way, what you're trying to do is you're going to use half of the volume of your ice. Half of the volume of your brewing liquid is your ice. So basically, what you're doing is you're going to pour. We'll get into it. Let's put the paper filter in. This is a Chemex filter. And since we're making enough for both of us, I'm using 48 grams.
What kind of coffee is that?
This is the Sumava de Lourdes from Costa Rica. It's a
Sweet mama.
Sumava. It's a white honey processed
That
coffee.
means your mama.
In German.
Oh, in Spanish.
They actually say Sumava. Oh, yeah. No, Sumava.
Oh.
It took me a moment. Yeah, Spanish. Sumava, no, Sumama. Okay, so the idea is that you take the hot water and we're going to brew on top. I'm always torn on like standing and looking and like getting out of frame. Okay, so here's the idea. So when you start brewing, right, the first bit of water that flows out of the coffee is heavier laden with the flavors, with the extraction of the coffee than the rest, right? The more that flows through, the lesser the concentration. So what you're doing is you're taking the prime part of it you're basically cutting the amount of liquid in half. So for this, we'd normally use 700 milliliters for 48 grams of coffee. Now we're going to use about 350 milliliters of water, and then we're using another 350 grams of ice. Well, that's what we're supposed to be doing. This is 350 grams. Why not?
Right.
The magic of television is that it always tastes good.
Well, it's gonna taste good regardless.
Regardless,
It would be good.
It'd be amazing. It's gonna be
It
amazing.
would be good even without the ice.
Exactly. We don't have to brew it already. It's awesome.
But my question really
yeah.
is this cold brew?
Yes, this would be considered cold brew. So you can go to some shops and you ask for a cold brew, and this is what they'll call it. Now, you could have people that are very dogmatic about cold brew, meaning that they only call cold brew coffee that they brewed in one specific way.
So there's never a time where you just take ground coffee, put it in a cup in a jar with water, and set it in the refrigerator for a while until it's essentially steeped, and
Yes.
that's considered cold.
So in some people that are very dogmatic about it, only that style of brewing they would consider to be cold brew.
Okay.
The other,
But that's
something like this would be considered variations of iced coffee.
Okay. Yeah.
In my world, I don't make the difference. It's ice brew, it's cold brew, it's iced coffee, it's all the same.
But doesn't it make a difference in the bitterness of it?
It can.
Okay.
It can. So this particular coffee is a little bit more on the brighter side, naturally, and so I thought that this would be nice because we wanted to get it's hot day, so something a little bit lighter, something maybe a little more fun.
That's awesome.
All right, that should be good.
Now, is this something that you would do as a decaf as well?
You could, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So like in the shop environment, we could do this decaf like this.
Yeah. And did you notice a difference between decaf and quality-wise or taste-wise with the level of beans you're using? Do you notice a big difference in the decaf?
Well, I mean, there's maybe to a certain extent, but really the level of beans that we use at Spro are really of a higher quality than most decafs.
Right.
So no. Actually, and it's interesting. Like a lot of people in the business are very much about. They're very much like down on decaf, like decaf this, decaf that. Why waste your time? But really, the people that are drinking decaf, they're kind of like the most hardcore of them all, because if we run with the presumption that people drink coffee for the caffeine,
Right.
well, these people are drinking coffee without the caffeine, so they must be drinking it because they like the taste.
They like the taste of coffee.
So why do we want, like everybody wants to chintz out on decaf?
Yeah.
And I'm like, why would we do that? That doesn't make, to me, that doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. I hadn't thought about it that way, but yeah, like so. If you're going for so this is just like people who drink alcohol to get drunk. Now you might end up drunk if you're drinking good stuff.
I usually do.
But but you don't start off with the goal of getting drunk. If you start off the goal to get drunk, you just drink whatever until you're there.
Right. But a lot of people in America do drink with the goal of getting drunk. They're like, well, we got to get drunk. What? Why?
What a waste.
It's like, what are you doing?
What a waste of good liquor. I mean,
Well, they're not always drunk. I think of high school times, like people, my friends are doing what, Mad Dog 2020, and like Cold Duck. Like my friends in high school, they liked Cold Duck. Oh my gosh.
I never even heard of Cold Duck.
Cold Duck is like this really crappy, like sparkling wine. It's super cheap, and I tried it, and I was like, "Oh man, give me the Astu Spumante, please." All right, so here, so Rusty wants to know, do I have a backup under the desk in case? No, there is no backup. We're just going hardcore.
Right, backup of the coffee.
I think of the Chemex, like if we broke it.
Yeah. Well, because Rusty probably felt the same way I did. Like, how in the world are you going to do this, mixing that hot and cold together this way? But you seem to make it work.
This is why I'm a professional.
I mean, I guess you do this for a living, huh? I keep forgetting.
That's what we pretend to do it for a living. That's right. All right, so here's now we're gonna approve. We're gonna pour our coffee out here.
All right. And watch the glass be the one to break.
Oh damn it! This is the worst. These are my fancy glasses.
Yeah, they look like they came out your china cabinet.
Yeah, they totally did. You know what? There used to be a Salvation Army nearby.
Yes.
And man, those places have the greatest deals on China. It's like, oh my gosh. Like, you know, some of the finest China that I've found is like, whoa, like $2. Like,
Yeah. I mean, the only thing you gotta be worried about is whether or not you get lead poisoning.
well, I use them for customers, so I don't worry too much about it. I don't know if this will fit in your glass.
There you go.
Oh.
Cooking with grease.
All right, we're doing well now. All right, there we go.
All right. Yeah, you didn't even know Roma Craft was in the coffee business.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah, those guys are so sneaky, man. Those guys are so sneaky. You see Skip might be buying a house?
Yeah, I saw
I was
that.
like, oh,
Yeah.
Casa de Fiorella.
Yeah. Well, that's the reason why. Apparently, he's trying to just get to a space where he's better schools and better opportunities.
Yeah.
for the baby, so.
I just didn't, you know, I never thought about that. Like, I thought, I just thought all schools would be the same in that country. But,
Yeah.
but it makes sense. It is. All right, let's try this now.
Yes. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you. Thoughts?
I taste caramel. A little bit of citrus.
Mm-hmm.
It almost tastes like you remember. So you remember the candy bars we used to sell in school? It had the raisins and the nuts in it, and the caramel.
The chunky?
Yeah.
Why did I know that right away?
Why did you know about the chunky?
Ask the fat guy about the chunky. Well, that's good. He'll know.
That's what it tastes like to me. I taste raisins, caramel,
Yeah.
citrusy.
It's a light brightness on it.
Yeah. I don't taste coffee, surprisingly.
Yeah. It's more. It's meant to be more refreshing in that respect.
Yeah. And but how does the coffee disappear?
Genius. That's what,
Hey.
no, it's not. It's not. It's just like, does the coffee disappear? I think it's a yes and no thing, meaning that the coffees that I'm looking for in the world are meant to be, especially for like something like this, which what we consider single origin. So these are coffees that we're looking to really kind of highlight what a coffee experience. And so it's going to be very different than like your typical like chocolatey, molassesy, nutty kind of coffees. And hopefully give them a much more interesting flavor experience.
This is wonderful. I have
Thank you.
hats off to you on this one. I mean, I guess I should take my hat off, but I don't feel like going through all that.
Yeah, you don't worry about that. Well, thank you. World's finest, or the Cadbury fruit and nut from another fat guy. Oh, there it is.
Not the Cadbury. I think it's the world's finest. That's the one. It had the cursive writing on the label.
Yeah. Or it could be the Cadbury.
I don't
If it's
think
the purple label, or if it's
it was
white.
a white label.
Oh, that's
and
the world's
sometimes it had a
finest.
Pizza Hut coupon on the back.
Yeah. Oh, that's world's finest. But their quality of chocolate was never quite as nice.
Well, you didn't taste the chocolate.
Well, yeah, when you're a kid, you were just like, this is amazing. Although, have you tried the fruit and nut Cadbury recently?
No, because I only eat dark chocolate because most of them has milk in it, you know. So.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
But I like this Cadbury fruit and nut. I've been trying it. Well, I don't try it that often. Every once in a while.
Sure, Jay.
Yeah.
I saw 3 of them on the desk.
Don't tell people that. My mom might be watching. Then I'll get a text. I see you are like eating more chocolate. You know, that's the thing. I don't know how it is in your household, but like in my family, Asian families, right? When you grow up in America, you hear all about, like, when you're young, you hear all about 18 years old, you're going to be out on your own, and you're like heading out in the world, and you're like doing your own thing. And you think, oh, you're Asian kid. You're like, oh, yeah. Well, I said, I'm out of my way, Mom. Man, you know,
Never.
30, 40 years later, still like, you're still here to, oh my gosh. I'm a grown adult, for God's sake. man. Filipino moms
But
are
it
all over
doesn't
you.
change. It doesn't change.
It's like that too in your house?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
good.
Well, so even with my kids, like I have a 20-year-old and a 24-year-old, and my 24-year-old, I mean, neither one of them live with me, but it's like if they're in town, I got to stay up until they get home. Like they go out, they have parties, they hanging out and all that stuff. And you know, like my youngest was in town like a week or so, 2 weeks ago, and so he's hanging out and you know, I fell asleep probably about, I don't know, 11:30, and woke up at like 12:30. He still wasn't there, right? So I'm up, waiting for him to get. Not because I don't care. It's just I want him safe, and I just want to know I can't go back to sleep because he's not
home and safe.
Yet.
Yeah. I get it.
I get it. And but it doesn't change even from a 24-year-old. I'm still the same way. Like he wanted to come up at the same time, but he was only gonna be able to stay for a day. I was like, man, no. You can't travel all the way up here, hang out for the day, and then drive
That's
back.
not safe.
Like,
That's not safe.
That's not safe.
Dad, I'm 45 years old, Dad. That's not safe.
It's not safe.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So yeah, it's very similar. I think culturally things have changed quite a bit too. We're more, you know, there was an independence that existed, I think, when I was a child, versus when my kids were children. Like, you know what I mean? Like when I was a child, I mean, I'm surprised I'm still alive. Some of the stupid stuff that we got into.
No doubt.
And it was like, I guess by the time I got to college, because I used to live with my grandmother through high school and college, and up until the time I got married. But my grandmother I got older and she got more protective.
Oh.
Like it was a time when I would be out on my bike all day, all night, or I'd be over a friend's house playing spades. I'm in 10th grade at my friend's house playing spades, 2:00 in the morning.
You got beat?
No.
Oh, no. Okay.
No, I go home and it was nothing. When I got to college, though, like, where are you? What's going on? I can't.
I know you got better access to drugs now.
It's all about access, baby.
You know, so here's something. Like my niece today, right? She was in this. My niece had this like 2 weeks musical theater camp, right?
Okay.
And so in this 2 week, it ends tomorrow. So in 2 weeks, they put on a full musical. And so they did this one called Descendants by Disney.
Okay.
Are you familiar with that?
I'm not.
So Descendants is this story of Maleficent and Snow White. Who's that? Who put Aurora to sleep? The evil queen, whatever she is, right?
Yeah.
Jafar and Cruella de Vil.
So all of these are part of the same story?
Yeah, so they're children, right? That are now teenagers, and it's about. So they've all been. All these evil characters have been cast away on this island by the Beast King, right? So Beast and Belle got married,
Right.
you know, and so their son is going to become the new king of a place called Auradon. And the idea is that they want to, this son wants to open the doors and create healing between the factions, right? Bring the worlds together. And so my niece got the lead.
Oh, wow.
I was like, whoa, that's pretty amazing. And so Tony says, Ursula. There it is, Ursula. that's the one.
Yeah.
And so my niece got the lead, and we're watching today, this afternoon. And my nephew, her younger brother, at halftime, intermission, he's telling my brother, his dad, and his mom, my sister-in-law, they're like, he's like, I'm hungry, I want some chips. I'm hungry, I want some chips. So one of their friends like, I got this pizza. He takes a bite of the pizza. I don't want the pizza, I want chips. And he's like on the verge of like losing it. I don't like it. And my brother's on the verge of losing. Like he wants to rail this kid so hard. And all I could do is sit there, and I was like, I'm not gonna get involved. Like, you know, I would just give him money and get the damn chips, you know, because that's what uncles do, right? But then I was like, oh, okay, I'm not getting involved.
Get involved.
But all I could think at some point is that if it was me, when we were young, man, and I was doing that. My nephew had already gone past the point of getting beat. Like, I would have gotten beat at that. Like, my dad would be like, "We're leaving. Get out, and I'm gonna beat you."
You get in trouble so much that you end up buying chips for your parents.
Oh man,
Like, enough of this.
get beat. I was like, man, it's a different. It's a brave new world now. Brave new world.
It is. It's very different. But I mean, different in a good way. I see the evolution of things because it was a lot of stuff that went on when we were younger that no longer happens. And sometimes you're nostalgic about things because you remember things differently than actually how it was.
Right. Well,
Right.
no, I remember getting beat, and I remember not liking it.
Yeah, but you.
Like I tell people, I'm not sure if Bill Blass made clothes.
But he
I
made
know
belts.
He made belts, man. That guy made some hella belts. All right. But let's move on to the cigar. Here's
All right.
This is the La Palina KB2, which is Kill Bill 2.
Kill Bill 2. El Diario.
El Diario. Diario. Is it Diario or
Diario.
Diario? In Filipino and Tagalog, we say Diario.
Diario.
Yeah,
Really?
instead of Diario.
Nice.
And it's the same spelling because it's Spanish derivative. So evidently the idea is that, or the story behind this cigar is that, what's the name of the guy?
Bill Paley.
Bill Paley, the owner of La Palina, evidently he normally smokes light to medium cigars.
Mm-hmm.
And this is called Kill Bill because when he started smoking, I guess the first version of it, it was so strong for him that it was killing him. So
Yeah.
Kill Bill.
Yeah. And the original version of this was actually even smaller than this. It was probably like, I guess this is probably maybe about a 6-inch. But the original might have been a 4.5.
Okay.
Let me see. So the Kill Bill 1 was probably like a 4.5. This is 6. This is.
Oh yeah, as you can see on Cirilo is using the humidor notes that you can get from humidornotes.com, and on the back of it, it has a handy dandy scale and ring gauge.
Yeah, so I'm
Scale.
thinking it's about 6 inches by 40 or 42.
6 by 42.
Yeah, I believe
So here we go.
that's
So
what it is.
6 by 42.
Yeah.
So you can use this to gauge your, measure your length and girth.
And it's only approximation.
All this for how much again?
3-pack for $13.
$13 for length and girth. Can you imagine that? Amazing. That's amazing. Okay, so let's have a look. So we're looking here. Now, unfortunately, today we're normally a little bit further from the camera, so it's a little bit harder to see. Sorry about that.
Right.
And Tony says it's nice to see us smoking a reasonable size cigar.
Absolutely, Tony.
Yes,
Couldn't
yes.
agree more.
Skinny Lonsdale. It's a lovely. Oh, it's got
It's nice.
Nice
It's
aromatics.
it does. It has
like a light spiciness. Would you say?
Yeah. Well, it depends on if you're just smelling the wrapper, yeah. But if you're coming from the foot, you really get the mix of all of the tobacco.
Oh, you know what? I mean, I don't know if this is a negative or positive thing to say, but smelling the foot kind of reminds me of Tetra. Tetra fish food.
Tetra. Oh wow. Well, you know what?
I don't mean that
Right.
pejoratively. I just mean that.
Like right when you're talking about right when you first open the cap on it. So it's almost like what you're smelling more so is the dry. It's something in the process of drying that is produced, right? It tastes. I mean, it smells like it's on the dry side, and I guess it is.
It
kinda on the
feels a little
crispy.
bit dry.
Yeah.
But there's a slight amount. There's a little bit of oil. Like it's not. I don't think it's meant to be an oily cigar.
No, it's not. It's a very rustic label. I mean, wrapper on it.
But with a nice
Toothy.
color. The color.
What is this? Is this a Mexican Andres?
Oh, let's have a look. Let's have a look.
Or
here.
Habano, maybe. I can't.
Let's see. Will Cooper from his 2013 review. Oh, that's a long time ago. It's been out for a while,
That's
so it
cigar
may
coupe.
have changed. Yeah. So Honduran Corojo 99 Rosado
Okay.
for the wrapper.
Okay.
Honduran Criollo 98 double binder. Oh, double binder.
Nice.
Does that mean they wrap it twice?
It had. Well, so generally when he says a double binder, it's two different leaves, but it's actually the same leaf and a double binder. So yeah.
Well, actually, we never know. Because, like, Honduran Criollo 98, what does that really mean? It just means the variety of the seed,
Well,
right? It doesn't mean much of, I mean, like, it could be, they could, like, here's what I mean by that is that the different primings,
Right.
it could be different primings, it could also be different fermentations and different crop, and different crop years.
well,
Because the 98 is only I think that's the designation, if I remember correctly, that's the designation of the seed varietal, not the year of harvest.
oh really? So I didn't know that.
Yeah, when I was at the tour at the Oliva family farm in Esteli, that's when they had like Piloto Cubano 99.
Sure.
But that was the
That was
the year of
year
that-
that they produced the seed.
that they developed that seed.
Seed. Huh. See, learn something new every day.
But this is why I'm always kind of like when I talk about it, it's like I'm always like, well, I don't know why people are so reticent to release their blends because there's so much that goes into each one.
Oh, so this is actually 6x40.
Oh,
That's
6
how
by
it
40.
is,
Oh yeah, the other one you said the first one is 4.5. You were right,
yeah,
4.5
yeah,
by 40.
yeah.
All right, so cutting this out here, it does feel a little bit dry. I think you're right.
But I don't mind that. I actually prefer my cigars a little bit on the crispy side.
Oh, okay.
That's
like your chicken? Oh, you don't eat chicken. What is
eat
it?
chicken.
That's why I like my chicken. Send me to Popeyes. So Tony says that's correct. The 98 designation is for the variety of tobacco. All right, so. The cold draw, it took a moment to get some flavor out of it.
It's just toasty.
Just kind of sweet toastiness.
yeah. It's. I mean, it's. If you draw a couple times, so I don't know whether I'm still getting some remnants from the cold brew.
Okay.
but it's nice. It's got a little bit of spice, just a little bit of spice on the cold draw. But it's just it's basic. So this is a trademark, I believe, of La Palina.
Okay.
It's freaking unadulterated tobacco, and you just getting tobacco. It's like, no, this is tobacco. Like it's really hard to identify anything that it relates to. It's like, no, this is just tobacco, and especially with this El Diario, because I've had the larger versions of this, even the Toro, and it's the same. It's just, and it's delicious, but it's just tobacco. I can't identify
Oh yeah, it's not.
anything.
I'm not trying to give you that whole experience.
No, you know how sometimes when you first time somebody smokes a Padron Anniversary 64 Maduro, they be like, oh, I kind of get raspberries or something like this. That's not what with La Palina. I get tobacco.
I hear you. All right, so we got a light out now. You have a strategy for your light?
Just light it before it gets my fingers. All your matches broke in half. What did you do? Slam them on the ground?
Hey, that's Rahul's magic. Yeah, man, these are a little bit on the thin side. Ooh, that got a little bit of an odd burn. You can see that right there. Like a little bit loose on the filler.
Really? Let me see.
Look at that. $10, $9.39 or something like that, $9.36 with the OTP of Maryland. Oh, come on now.
There you go.
All right, now we're lit.
Buddy asked, "Are you using a different camera tonight?"
Oh. No, actually, the camera is the same. It's just a little bit further away than normal. Like, normally, I can reach it and touch it from where I'm sitting. But now it's like, what, 4 feet away now?
Yeah. Just to get me in the frame.
Just to get you in the frame, yeah. Social distancing, there's actually 6 feet between us. It's the magic of cameras.
I love this. This is, I don't know. I think for anybody who smokes like a lot of cigars, and they've developed their flavor profile and what they love and what they like, and the reasons why they have different things, and they're like, oh, I can recognize the citrus notes in this, or I can recognize the coffee or chocolatey notes in this. Anybody who really dials into their cigars that way really need to find a La Palina El Diario, because these are like the truest essence of tobacco that I've tasted in a long time. Like, just, bam, that's what it is. What it is.
Oh, I'm coming a bit. Yeah, it's so. Part of what that is that the lighting in this room is a little bit different. So normally on the stream, when I'm at the desk and the camera's closer, I have 5600 Kelvin daylight lights.
Hold on, what? Who is Calvin?
Kelvin is a measurement.
Who the hell is Calvin?
He's that guy that
and why is he lighting you?
He's that guy that works at a cigar shop.
Goddamn Kelvin. Holding the flashlight on you.
But in this situation, we've got both daylight and tungsten style lighting here, or colored lighting. So off the camera on that side, closer to Cirilo, is the big dome light. And then we also have these pendant lights that are above the frame that are daylight, that are tungsten balanced.
And they're orange.
And they're orange. Yeah, they have a orangey glow compared.
Yeah.
It's just like the incandescent lights.
Yeah. Well, not to mention the actual globe on it has a yellowish orange.
Oh, true, that's true. The globe on them does have.
What do you think about this?
To me, it has this. It's bright.
Really?
There's an acidity that's on the tongue. This brightness that's on the tongue.
Really?
Like, I think it's interesting. Like, for me, it doesn't have. Like we were talking about before, you mentioned that these cigars that have these distinct flavors.
Yeah.
That wants to bring you on this journey of flavors. Like,
right.
This isn't starting out that way. It's kind of got this nice even tone. To me, it comes off like as a brightness, but it's very pleasant.
Yeah, it's pleasant. It's the perfect size. Perfect size. It's got a nice burn on it thus far. I love the rustic nature of the wrapper.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice.
Has this been in your humidor for a while? You just got this?
Oh, I just picked it up.
Okay.
I
wonder how long it's been in their humidor.
I think it's been there a while.
Yeah. Because it's very mellow. Very mellow. I mean, this ain't killing nobody's bill.
Kind of makes you wonder. What kind of cigars is Palina guy smoking? So Bud says you have a little green at the top and on, a green at the top on and off.
That's the studio light to your right.
You mean right here?
Yeah.
Oh, going off, on and off. Maybe I'm like moving. Yeah. So there's a key light above, coming from behind. So the idea is that you put a key light, like what they call a halo light, to separate you from the background.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess they're basically telling you that your
Camera sucks.
camera sucks today.
Yeah, it does. It
Poor
does.
guy. It is.
I'm a sound guy. I'm not a camera guy. I'm a sound guy.
Been purchasing more equipment in the last 6 months than ever before, and now your shit sucks.
It looks worse now than ever.
You need to go back to the basics. Let's plug the mics right into the camera.
Oh my gosh, no doubt about that. It was much easier back then. Turn it on. All right, here we go.
Oh man.
Is it hot for you? In here,
Cigar?
temperature-wise.
Oh no, I mean it's summertime. I mean it's not Dairy Queen that's out here, but I mean
Dairy Queen's hot or Dairy Queen's cold?
Cold.
Oh man, that's what I wish I had.
yeah.
I always want extremes.
Cold Stone. Have you ever been inside of Cold Stone?
No. Is it cold inside Cold Stone?
Oh, it is extremely cold in Cold Stone.
Oh, that's amazing.
I love it. I don't eat any ice cream from there, but if I'm walking around somewhere and I'm hot, I'm gonna dip into a Cold Stone every now and then. Like, can I get a cup of water, please?
That's awesome.
So in news,
In news, yes, news.
you alluded to some things in the intro about
What did I say?
you just said, you know what, the goings ons in the cigar
Oh,
world, the
cigar.
coffee world, and all that kind of stuff.
Well, yeah, there was some controversy this week. So, as you guys know, or may not know, there's something called the PCA, which is Premium Cigar Association, which over the years has gone over. It used to be called the RTDA, the Retail Tobacco Dealers Association of America. Then it was called the IPCPR,
Yeah.
International, what? International?
Yeah, I can't. It was just too much.
IPC, International
IP.
Premium Cigar Retailers, IPCP Retailers. I mean, if it's it.
Like CP30.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, why make it? So finally, they changed it a couple years ago to PCA, Premium Cigar Association, and they finally had their. It's always in July. It's usually in Vegas. One year, 2016, it was in New Orleans.
New Orleans,
That was a
yeah.
good time. That was a good time. But this year, they had the trade show, and I guess it went pretty well. I guess a lot of people didn't come. One of the big controversies was that the big three cigar companies did not attend. Like, I
Right.
guess with the whole FDA thing that's been happening over the last few years.
Well, I guess you could call it Big Four when you include Drew Estates by itself.
Yeah, because Drew's owned by that. Who? They got owned by some big company. Swisher, right? So
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
multinational, and so excuse me, it's Drew Estate, Altadis,
Alcatraz,
Davidoff,
and General.
and General Cigar. They all decided not to show.
Yeah.
And if you've ever been to the trade show, those guys tend to take up a significant portion of the show.
Yeah, they're the anchors. They're the anchors.
Yeah, they're the anchors. Like when you see Drew Estate used to build a big Brooklyn Bridge, like a Brooklyn Bridge that you could like stand on and like have meetings on top. It was darned impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking like booths that take up, massive amounts of trade show space, hundreds of thousands of dollars just to like build and rent. And so they all decided not to go. And then, of course, there's been the COVID, so the last year's show didn't happen, and then there's a lot of people, I guess, that decided not to go as well, other manufacturers, for a variety of reasons.
Right.
And so, evidently, they had a bunch of the people, a bunch of the exhibitors that were there, got together, on the last day of the show?
Yeah.
And they got together for a group photo, which was cool, group photos are cool. But some people came out with these captions. What was the caption?
So the caption was, if you're not here, then you're irrelevant. Something like, essentially.
Oh, right, yeah. If you're not here, you're irrelevant, right?
Right. Now this was a caption that was
A hashtag.
hashtag. Was it a hashtag actually? It was just a caption.
Was it a oh,
I believe. Well,
everything is a
regardless.
hashtag in the world. Right? This is YouTube. It's all hashtags here.
Well, anyway, so yeah, basically, if you're not here in this photo, then you're irrelevant.
Okay, right.
Right, and which is,
it's no big deal for somebody to say that who's nobody, who's irrelevant. But if you have somebody of relevance saying that about people who aren't in the photo, who are relevant, then it creates kind of this really weird situation of you've drawn a line in the sand. Like now we gotta fight. You knocked my mama off my shoulders. Like
Yes.
We gotta fight now. You called me irrelevant. You know I'm not irrelevant. If you thought I was irrelevant, you wouldn't have made the comment. Right. So there's now we just gotta go to blows. And the way that people go to blows today is on social media. They don't.
Hashtag you suck.
And so a lot of people were in an uproar.
Now, were there really a lot? So what I saw was, it was Pete Johnson from Tatawa. On his Facebook page, he posted the picture and this slogan, hashtag, whatever it was.
Right.
And I saw it independent of everything else, right? And I remember when I saw that, I was kind of, that's kind of like harsh. I was like, is that really? I just thought it was harsh. I was like, whoa, that seems
It's a bit much.
Yeah, especially since I used to go to the show. I'm like, oh, really? Did you need to be so harsh to everybody?
Right.
But it was Skip Martin from Roma who saw it, and he came out with a commentary about it, and then but I only saw those two. Was there a lot more consternation out there?
Yeah, there were a lot. So apparently this message was something that was agreed upon, and everybody just kind of joined in and started posting, if you're not here, you're irrelevant. Mostly the folks that were in the picture, but there were some people that were there who weren't in the picture.
Oh, right.
So it's just multi-layered. But the one that I focused in on, because I really love both the brands, was Tatuaje and Roma Craft, or more specifically Pete Johnson and Skip Martin.
Yes.
Right. And so I saw and I was just like, I already know Skip. He's not one of those guys who's just gonna sit there and be like, all right, he said that, but I'm just ride off into the sunset because I'm good. That's just not how he's made up. Skip is like, man, you threw a blow, I got to respond. He's a counterpuncher, right? He generally doesn't throw the first blow, even though it often looks like it because his blows are just like, pow! But he generally don't throw the first blow. That's true. Right?
But when he comes at you, he's coming at you.
He's coming at you.
He's not holding back.
And sometimes he's very thoughtful in his responses.
Yes.
And he generally doesn't put something out there that he will retract later because he has put the thought in beforehand.
Yes.
Right? And so when Skip said something, it was the dissertation, like, these are all the fucked up parts of this.
Oh yeah, he even posted the
screenshots,
edits. The screenshots of the edits.
Right. And so, which I think was appropriate for him to do. He wasn't at the show. He's not irrelevant, and he felt that he needed to defend the folks that fit into that category, along with himself, right?
Okay, I see. Yes, yeah, I hear what you're saying.
But not from a personal perspective. Like, personally, it's not about him. It's more so about, this seems very industry-ish. And apparently, Skip has seen the workings of these type of things within the industry for a while. And I noticed one of the things he kept saying is like, this is not new. It's just being said out loud now. And that's what he had the problem with. Not that he had a problem with it happening in secret. He did have a problem with that too. But when you take a statement like that and you embolden enough to say it, and you basically, screw everybody who wasn't here.
Especially when it's being said by someone that has that visibility that
just
Pete
so
has.
respected.
Yeah, so well respected.
Right. Pete is a personal friend of mine. Well, Skip is too. They're both personal friends of mine, and I was just really shocked.
Yeah,
and
me
I was
too.
like, maybe because I didn't see Pete's first. I saw Skip's first.
Oh, I saw Pete's the day before. I saw Skip's.
And I was just really like, oh my gosh, like what the fuck is going on? And you know, I didn't reach out to either one of them, and my hope was that Pete would say, you know, after reflection, this was a poor way of doing things. But he hadn't by the time I saw it, and it was going down a rabbit hole, and people were taking sides, and people were like, fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, they were just like,
And then Pete was doubling down on his position, and it was like, oh my gosh.
so that was the thing that was surprising to me. And so it was like a double down, and then it became personal, and then KC jumped in, and then it was like all these things just kept happening. It was like, hold up, this is getting out of control. And you could see that Skip was trying to maintain a certain level of cordial disagreement with all that. And he, like, people would come in there with some wild comments, and Skip was like, "Hey, that just escalated quickly. It's like, calm down."
And he's one that's willing to escalate very quickly.
Right. He's like, "Calm down. That's a bridge too far." There. And you know when Skip say something is too much.
Like, oh, whoa.
Right, well, hold on. And then one guy came like, "I'm sorry. I guess I was a little passionate." You think? Like, we should burn down Tatooine.
Like, whoa, take that easy. I haven't got my Saints and Sinners kit yet. Slow down. Oh, and I haven't got my lighter yet, darn it.
I got a feeling I know he was where he was on June 6th. I mean, on January 6th. That same guy was at the Capitol on January 6th.
Burn this place down.
But anyway, it took some time for Pete to kind of think through it, and I guess people may have appealed to him with heartfelt, you know, disappointment.
Oh, good.
I don't know that for sure, but I think so. Or maybe he just reflected upon it and looked at it and was like, hold on, I really did take some things out of context, or I put some things out there in a way that it should not have been.
Well, I mean, obviously he took it out of context and I think that was part of what, you know, Skip was like trying to corner him on, was that he showed that screen capture of Pete's changes to the quote through that period of time. And, you know, he really did. You could see the progression of changes on the messaging that was like, well, that's
right.
He obviously realized that his message wasn't getting the way that he had intended, so he kept trying to change it. But I just thought the odd thing was that it took him a long time to, like, realize that, you know, I'm just going to apologize and, like, you know, this is a misstep on my part. And
yeah, and I don't know what that is. I don't know whether it's that he doesn't sometimes recognize what power he carries, right? Or whether or not, like he said in his post today, it was like, oh, you know, sometimes I need to really think through what I want to say before I actually say it.
Yeah, because I mean, he, like, as you know, he was, as far as like boutique cigar manufacturer or cigar whatever, he was the real revolutionary in the early 20 years ago.
Hey man, it wasn't just him, man. Well, more so 15 years ago, right? Has it been 20 years for him? No, I think it's a little bit over
18,
15.
18,
Okay,
18,
so all right,
18.
so but anyway, like, yeah. So you remember years ago, you had the bad boys. You know what I mean? Like, you had the
Lars Teton.
Pete Johnson, Dion. You had Matt Booth. You had
Right.
George Rico. Yeah, all these cats who were just like bucking the way that tradition was done in the cigar business. We're gonna change everything. We are not. This is not your granddad's cigar company kind of thing, right?
Right.
Even though somebody whose name my father was, but that's irrelevant.
That was later.
No,
But I mean, but of all those people you mentioned, you know, and they've all done very well. I mean, Pete is the one that had the lion's share of the respectability, and the recognition, and the following. So, like, and he may not realize this sometimes, and I get that, but like, you know, when someone like him says this kind of like forceful statement, it really, like, Matt Booth could do that I don't think people won't give the same weight if Matt Booth says it than if Pete Johnson says it. I think
The same people won't. But there are people in Matt Booth's circle who would.
but I think there are fewer.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Matt Booth, once he was with Davidoff, with Room 101 got acquired by Davidoff, right? It widened his spectrum quite a bit, right?
Okay, good point.
And so, but I think it's just a different type of persona, right?
Yes.
Because we do know this. Booth was always trying to find like little things to kind of
Dig at him.
just more so like he was outlandish with some stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
You remember the year at the show that he had the toilet stool embedded into the
Yes,
wall
yes,
of the
yes.
booth? Like, hold up. What? Like that's just him. He was I think Matt Booth was kind of more like the P.T. Barnum. He was that in that. Like,
Right, he's
a
that
showman.
showman. Exactly.
Yeah.
Where Pete, I don't think, and
He
interest
is the cigar nerd that respects the history, bring a new flair to it,
but has that
and
rebel rocker quality to him. That kind
because
of is
he is a
appealing.
musician as
Right.
well, and well, Matt Booth was a musician as well, right? He played the drums, right? But anyway, like so Pete really kind of ushered it. He was more of the statesman of the new culture.
Yes.
I think that's
I
the
think
best
that's
way
good.
to
That's a
put
good
it,
term. That's
right?
very apt.
He was the statesman of the new cigar culture. So yeah, he said something, people listen,
Oh yeah.
right?
And took notice.
Which was why I was like, yo, you should have said something about Black Lives Matter, right? And what that was kind of,
Oh.
I think that what Skip was trying to say is that, from a PCA perspective, like these guys are on some bullshit. Not that we don't support the industry and what the industry has to do, what they're going through, the different laws that are attacking. We understand all that. But why are we being petty, and why are we saying that there's only one way of supporting?
Right, like going being at the trade show.
Right. There has to be other ways to support a cause or to support an industry, or there's other ways. And you got to open up you got to open up to people to actually hear them, if they, and that's not what was happening, Yeah, Tony, he was rock. I still think he's a rock star.
Mm-hmm.
I love that guy, man. He's,
Agreed. Very much agreed.
and as well as Skip, But I think Skip was on high ground this time. Right. And I would have been very disappointed in Pete had he not rescinded his remarks today. I'm still a little bit surprised
It took so long.
That it took so long.
Agreed.
But I think that there is a certain level of ego that's within the rock star and within society today. People don't want to admit when they're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, it could also be that, like, it could be also, to what you're saying, maybe more on the side of the rock star part, where maybe Pete's in a position where he's so used to being lauded for everything that he does that any kind of pushback is like, whoa, what are you doing? And I think Skip, and I agree with you. I do think Skip was in the right spot, because, like, I think it's, but I think that it's, some people were against Skip because for him saying that, but I think it's like, if you're going to have an industry, then there should be open discussion and open criticism of just about everything. Like, even in the coffee business, I get in trouble from time to time because I'm willing to, if people say, come do something, I'm like, well, that's a bunch of bullshit. And it's like, if somebody has to be willing to do that when it's at the right moment. And I think Skip was well-founded in his position there.
yeah. I mean, are you irrelevant if you don't if you don't advertise in Cigar Aficionado, right?
Yeah.
Does that make you an irrelevant cigar manufacturer or brand owner, whatever?
Makes you unrated.
It makes you unrated. So you said
That's what they say. That's what they say. Like,
no, who is they, Jay? Who is they?
The mysterious Jay.
So I'm glad Skip accepted what Pete posted as an apology. I don't know if there was any direct conversation between the two of them that we weren't privy to, but he deleted the post that he had yesterday.
You talking about Peter or Skip?
Skip did.
Yes, that's right.
And he also said it's a done issue as far as he's concerned in his mind, and that any negativity would be kind of, just deleted from the stream, right? And which I think this shit's just classy. That was a classy way of handling it, and I'm not used to Skip being so classy.
It's those flip-flops. That's what it is.
Maybe it's that beautiful sunset that he's looking at out on the beach right now. Got him all emotional and classy.
Like, the beach. I got Fiorella. I got Arlen. I'm gonna buy a new house. Like, oh, life is good.
Right. Life is good for him, and but I'm glad they dealt with it. Apparently, there was a lot that needed to be said. There's probably still a lot that needs to be said, and ultimately, this is not over, because I think it's bigger. I think
you mean the issue of like the irrelevance and all that, kind of like that us versus them.
Yeah, because that kind of thing is the same thing as Make America Great Again. It's a divisive.
Yes. And I think that's the big reason why Skip was railing against it.
Yeah.
Because in a time when you're trying to, let's say, continue the battle against the FDA, pull the industry out of whatever mire that it's in, you can't be like, just because the big four aren't playing with you, you can't be like, oh, we're gonna do something that's going to encourage greater division.
Right. And the big four, they're gonna come back to the table at some point. If the PCA plays their cards right.
After they push everybody out.
But you can't antagonize Goliath into playing fair.
Well, they have more capital resources than anybody.
They can do their own damn show,
and
everybody would show up.
Well, the thing that I thought was interesting, there were some people that I don't know all the people that were involved in the commentary, but there was one or two people that were involved that I'm presuming were shop owners, cigar shop owners, that were talking about. Well, one guy was saying specifically that he was going to make his buying decisions reflective of who was at the show. And I was like, well, are you really gonna, if you're one of those retailers that carries the wide range of cigars from all the companies, are you really gonna go out there and like cancel your like asset account?
Well, not just,
are you gonna cancel, these are obviously cigar companies who move a lot of volume to a lot of people. Are you really gonna cut your nose off in that respect?
Well, so to me, if your mission is not to provide the best quality cigars to the customers and provide them with the ones they want, if that's not the mission, why are you in business? You're a retailer. You should want to sell what people want.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think it's a yes and no thing.
No, tell me.
So I mean, I hear what you're saying. Like, people come in, they're like, hey, I want some acids, or hey, I want Macanudo, or hey, I want what are the other? I want Cohiba,
Romeo and Julieta,
La Gloria Cubana.
Right.
But you could also, I think there's also a case we made that there could be retailers out there that are like, you know what, I'm going to eschew that, intentionally not buy from them and offer a greater diversity of quote unquote better quality cigars. More unique, not better quality, but more unique cigar experiences.
Yeah, if that's your business model,
I mean,
I think you never would have had those anyway.
Right. I think that, but yeah. I mean, I think there's something for that.
You're not gonna have Cafe du Monde. What is it, Cafe du Monde?
Du Monde, yeah.
You're not gonna have that in Spro.
No.
But why not? There's a lot of people who like it. There's a lot of people who want it.
Because we're snobs about coffee.
You don't want chicory. You don't want chicory.
I'm not putting no chicory. Like, you're gonna order coffee, I'll give you coffee. I'm not giving you some kind of additive that's there to like buffer my profit margin, which is why we're where we are.
What was the coffee back in the day? International Delight.
Oh yes, gosh!
You're not gonna bring International Delight into
the Vienna coffee and the French vanilla. I love those. You're going to get rid of your Liga back account and your Davidoff? Probably not. Yeah, I don't. I think that. But I think that's true. If you're one of those retailers that has those, like that guy that was in the thread that was commenting like,
right,
I'm gonna my purchase is going to be reflective of who was at the show.
Yeah.
That seems to be a bit short-sighted.
Yeah, I think that's an emotional response. It's an emotional, and I think that's the real point of it all is that, when somebody like a Pete says something, it does have a visceral effect on people, and it makes people feel like they have to make decisions right then and right there. And sometimes you just got to give space. You got to give space for things to develop. When I used to play football, we had a very good football team, and part of the reason why is that my coach, he was always about patience. Be patient. Do your job. Don't do anybody else's job. Do your job. Be patient. Allow the play to develop. And we had plays that would develop very slowly and were highly effective because he preached patience to us. And sometimes that has helped me in life today because I can sometimes step back and not respond immediately and be in the mix and say, okay, let me see how this develops. Let me see how this develops, and then I can make moves. But if I rush in, I'm rushing in for the wrong reason. I'm rushing in for an emotional reason, not because I've really thought through my position on this and how this will affect me or how I can still get to my goal in the midst of this turmoil. And I think it's prudent for not just me, but for everybody, just back up a second. Let people say what the hell they're gonna say. Don't join in. Don't add fuel to the flames. Just say, let's see how this thing gonna turn out. Cause at the end of the day, you can't take shit back. You really can't. Even though you can change your position, you can't take back the shit you already said. Right? And that is to me. I mean, to each his own. We're all grown people. We all allowed to be disappointed. We're all allowed to be emotional. But I don't know where emotions really serve you well in situations of business.
Yes, good point.
Yeah, so. How's this treating you?
Good. It's very consistent, smooth. I still think it has a bright acidity on the tongue. How do you find it?
I'm gonna sound like a broken record here. I just taste good, nice, good tobacco.
Yeah.
And I don't get. There's a little bit of a finish on it, right? That's malty.
Oh, okay.
Maybe that's what it is. It's malty. It's not almost like a. You remember the Whoppers back in the day? Not the sandwich, but the little candies.
Oh, the
malted milk balls.
The malted milk balls.
Or just malty, like.
That kind of like that. Yeah, that. I think what you're describing as malty is what I'm describing as the acidity, the brightness. Because there's that maltiness has kind of that sizzling on the tongue.
Yeah. I like that.
So Bud says maybe it's because he was getting show deal prices on those cigars. Well, that could be. That could be.
Who's that? I'm missing the reference. What's that to?
I think that was about the.
The guy who was. Who the retailer.
The retailer.
Yeah, but from what I understand, maybe that changed this year. But last year, of course, they didn't have a show. But it seemed that the discounts were starting to dwindle. Just the straight show discounts. I'll be interested to see to hear about that.
Well, from what little that I saw about it, and I didn't really follow any of the show stuff, but I saw someone. Maybe it was Pete that was posting about it, but someone was talking about how PCA deals. I think it was Pete. PCA deals will only happen via the PCA portal or whatever. So, I think there's a new effort now to
strong arm people into joining.
Well, not just strong, but like before, it was like you come to the show and you get a show special. Mm-hmm. But then after a while, manufacturers were giving show specials to anybody in the country at any time, at that time.
Right.
So you don't have to go to the show to meet the rep to get the special. Your rep could come to you and get the same special.
Right.
Which, that I can see that would erode the need for you to actually go to the show.
Yeah, as a consumer though, I don't give a damn about that.
Well, I mean, but the show's not for consumers, right?
But neither is the deals.
Right,
they're not passing them on.
Right, exactly. They're just for the retail, absolutely.
Right, and I'm not really making my decisions on buying cigars based off of whether or not they are.
Once in a while.
Yeah, if I'm buying a multiple amount of cigars, I want the retailer to give me a discount. Yeah, you know what I mean? Or
I did buy when Pete got into that fight with the guy that owns Corona.
Oh no, when Skip,
sorry.
Yeah.
When Skip got into the fight with that guy who owns Corona cigars
on the right side, I don't want you to have that on you. You see, it's up out your mouth now. Man, clean yourself up, boy.
I'm all like dirty.
No, on the right side. There you go. There you go. There you. I couldn't in good conscience go like this. Brush it.
That would be weird.
that would be weird. So I can tell you a story. So that remind me of a story. We get back to, and I see Tony's deal here. So you said something about musicals earlier. Mm-hmm. So when I was in high school, I'm this, tough football player, this and the other. But I actually got into a musical.
Oh, which one?
It was called Once Upon a Mattress. Oh. Which was a spinoff of The Princess and the Pea.
Oh, okay.
Right, and I was the minstrel. Oh. Right, so I would step into the scenes, singing. Many moons ago, in a far-off place, lived a handsome prince with a gloomy face.
Oh, nice.
Right. So I'm doing all this stuff, right? And it was great. It was a wonderful experience. It was the first time I'd ever acted. I encouraged other guys from the football team that they came in, did it too. I'm walking around with a tunic and tights on.
Nice.
This was.
What's that much different than than football pants?
Skinny jeans and.
Okay.
And not that much different from football pants.
Football pants, they're tights too.
But the difference is you can't really see through football pants, which gets to the story. So
which is good advertising for you. That's
so I'm in one of my scenes. I'm finishing up, right, and we had these stairs built, so I was being walked off to prison because I did something wrong. I was being black in the play. No.
Always going to prison. What's going on with that?
So I'm going up the stairs, and the sheriff is kind of escorting me up, and apparently my tunic is up in the back, right? So one of the knights was trying to hit my tunic down with his sword. He was trying to knock the tunic down. The crowd is busting out laughing. I don't know what's happening. and so they created this award because my song was Many Moons Ago. In a far-off place lived a handsome prince with a gloomy face. But they created the Many Moons Ago award from me because I mooned the crowd basically, and you could see through my tights.
That's awesome.
And they still give that award away at the school, the Many Moons Ago, for the blooper of the show.
That's my
That's
my musical story.
No. So you started the Academy Awards of that. That's good.
Right. The Many Moons Ago Award. That was the first night. We get 2 nights of this thing.
Everybody got to go see the next show. It's gonna be great.
So the next night, it wasn't. I was making sure I was straight, but then the lead of the play, so she's messing around with this big production where she was spelling out her name F-R-E-D Fred, and then she has all this stuff that she's doing, and she picked up these weights and put them down, and has to put them down. The second night she put them down, but they didn't stop. They just kept rolling and fell into the orchestra pit. Well, we had an orchestra down there, and so you hear somebody yelling, "Ow!" The crowd busts out.
My God, it's a comedy of errors over there. My goodness.
Awesome. It was an awesome time in life. I'll never forget it. Never forget it.
Good times. Good times.
But speaking of Pete, lighting up with a Tatuaje Fausto FT166 now. That Fausto is a special smoke.
I haven't had that FT166.
So I'm trying to think of what that even looks like. Is that the...
Looks like a cigar, I think.
Oh, really? Oh. Okay, so the Avion is a Fausto as well, Jay.
I love that one. That was a good one.
Right?
The first one in 2011, that was awesome. That was an awesome cigar.
But it's a
The diadema shape.
Yeah.
The perfecto shape.
But trunk pressed.
Was it trunk press? Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
You're right.
it's a slight press on it. Slight press. That was a beautiful
That was
smoke.
a beautiful.
But the Fausto blend is just phenomenal. I love it.
But I have to say that,
Oh, it
that
came,
first
it came
one
today from the Saints of Syndicate.
the
That's
cutter.
Oh, no, that's just the cutter, huh? Oh,
Yeah, the
okay.
cutter.
Oh,
Because
okay.
I don't know if you knew about this, but so last year's kit came with a lighter, and some people got them, but there was evidently a problem. That was a major problem, so they had to take them back, or I don't know if they took them back, but they had to reissue them.
Okay.
And so everyone's been waiting for their cutter until now.
Nice.
Nice.
I have to look for that FT166. I don't think I've seen that.
So Tony says the special still had to be ordered during the hours of the show, even if you were not present. Oh, okay. And Rusty, Once Upon a great show.
Cool. So it was. So originally it was done. The lead was Carol Burnett. And she played Winifred the Well Begone. It was excellent. The music phenomenal.
Really? Wow.
And it was Rusty said it was a great show. I was very happy to have.
I've never seen that show. I've never done that one either.
Yeah.
We did West Side Story when I was in high school.
Okay.
That was all. I thought that was an awesome time.
Were you a part of the?
I was going to be Doc.
Okay.
But then I did more the technical side of it.
Yeah. So yeah, that was. I love it, and so everybody jokes me all the time because I love musicals. I always
had
have.
no idea. I had no idea.
I love musicals.
Did you see In the Heights?
I did not.
Oh, okay.
Is that something I should see?
Yeah. It's the Lin-Manuel Miranda show. So, did you see Hamilton?
Yes.
Did you like Hamilton?
I did. I enjoyed.
Then
Hamilton.
you will probably like In the Heights.
Okay. I'll
That
have to check it
same
out.
kind of like
energy.
that same that not the energy. Yeah, it's always there, but like that same like kind of urban rap meets American theater. That kind of mishmash that he's
Okay.
that he did in Hamilton.
Yeah.
It's similar
Okay.
vibe in the Heights.
Yeah, I have to check that out.
Yeah, that's worth checking out. If you like that, that's worth checking out. And then Tony wants to know how big was your plumber's crack?
So that's the thing about it. So I did have on underwear, but the tights.
Don't you get the panty lines in?
The tights were not like tights that we think of today. They were really more so stockings, right? And so, do you remember the Lululemon problem a few years ago with the yoga pants that the women were having? They would put on the Lululemon pants, and you could see right through them because if they had an ass on them, you could like see through. And they bent over. He's like,
I should have gone to yoga class. Gosh, I missed out.
So I had a Lululemon issue before Lululemon existed.
Cirilo's lemon. There it is.
Many moons ago.
All right, so Tony said, I know that 166 must be the short Churchill.
Okay.
and you should get the Old Man of the Sea. But this version of the Old Man of the Sea is a Fausto, right?
It is a Fausto. I did buy that.
Have you tried it yet?
No. You know, to me, I grew up with in the cigar world where you're only gonna smoke Calibra if you have two other people to share it with. That's the whole beauty of it, right?
Oh, okay.
And so you break it apart, you undo it, and now all three of you sitting around, you smoking these twisted cigars, and it's the part of the experience, right? So I have that. I haven't had an opportunity to smoke it yet, but I remember the Old Man in the Sea, the other two iterations of it
they were good.
beautiful, right? And so I guess the Fausto that he is having is similar to the Fausto that's in that Old Man in the Sea, the straight, because it's a total of 4 cigars.
Right. The Culebra and then the
right,
I guess a Lancero.
Right. And so was the first one was the El Tronfador? No. It was the brown label. Hold up.
I still have a Triunfador version.
Yeah.
I've never smoked it.
Yeah. And so, yeah, man, the Old Man in the Sea, great concept. It was the introduction to that style of cigar for me, and I'm looking forward to smoking the Fausto version.
Oh, that sounds good.
And I don't hang on to stuff, man. I joke folks all the time, especially my homeboy Bird, which he doesn't do anymore. But I always say, man, you can't save it for never.
That's the problem. Like, so I just said I got this Trinidad Old Man of the Sea still, right? Mm-hmm. From the original release of that version. And when am I going to smoke it? I don't know. I've got stacks of cigars, old Fuentes from the '90s. My problem is that part of my problem is that I'm kind of concerned over why don't I smoke them? I don't smoke them. Partially because you know what? I don't know if they really fit the flavor profile that I want to have right now. Maybe they're too light. They're not full-bodied enough.
But you don't know.
Well, I know, but I'm saying in the times that I have smoked them, it's like, it's good, but it's not that. It's not that.
Well, it's not going to get better.
I know. You're right. I mean,
So
I need to smoke through them.
Essentially, it loses its power every year. It becomes and at some point, you're just smoking cedar.
I'm smoking cedar. That's that's the problem. I don't want to smoke cedar. I want to smoke robust.
Do you want to try some of this rum?
All right, let's try some of that rum. So Tony's saying you should smoke it. Truly amazing. Still a couple. Black label. That would be nice.
Yeah. The black label was the second.
Okay.
Man in the Sea.
I totally missed out on that one.
Did you? That was the introduction of the black label Lance. I believe I feel like they had done the black label,
the jar, the Bellicoso.
Yeah, but then they had done Petit Lancero.
Okay.
Yeah, they'd done a Petit Lancero, which was phenomenal, and then I think the full size Lancero was included in the Old Man in the Sea. Tonight, we are drinking Caribbean rum. Let's see if we can get a good angle on that. There you go. 10-1. This is a phenomenal rum that's done. It's a black-owned company, and this guy. His pedigree is crazy, right? Like his name is Mark Farrell, and Mark Farrell was born in Trinidad. He left Trinidad at 16 and went to MIT.
Oh, MIT.
MIT, and for a chemical engineering background. For a chemical engineering degree. It says by 26, he would also hold a master's degree in philosophy from the University of Cambridge, as well as an MBA from Harvard Business School.
Wow.
By 36, he had gone on to become the youngest vice president in Starbucks history. heading up the e-commerce and the global retail and beverage innovation. That's his story. He's 46 now. He came out with his 10-to-1 rum. He has a dark rum expression and a light one. And it's a mix. It's a mix of maybe 4 different regions that he comes up with. So yeah, it's a Bayesian. We got a Bayesian, Dominican, Jamaican pot still, Trinidadian, and then it's all aged in ex bourbon barrels, white oak, American white oak. So yeah, this is it's a little bit on the dry side, not quite as dry as a Haitian rum.
Okay.
Right, but
like the Babancourt.
Yeah. So the Babancourt, Babancourt is really nice, right? But it's dry.
Yes.
Right, and you almost feel like it's not rum because you don't get any of those characteristics of it. But yeah, so yeah, this is new to the market. Let me have your glass.
Okay, both over there.
Oh, okay, cool. And the first time I had it, I said, okay, I always got to have a bottle of this.
Oh, always got to have.
Always got to have a bottle of it. It's got a great color on it, right? It's also has a nice viscosity to it, not overwhelming.
Oh, not too much.
You know, it's says the tasting notes are, or the smell is cooked fruit, bacon spices. Not bacon, baking.
Oh, baking. Oh,
baking.
I said bacon spices.
Banana peel, yellow apple, nut loaf, all these types of things, right? And the structure is tobacco, cedar, and vanilla, right? So, yeah, it's beautiful, and it's a 80 proof.
Oh, cheers then.
Cheers.
Definitely dry. Wow, that's kind of like reminds you of like a scotch in that dryness.
It does kind of drink like a dram, right? It's
but smooth.
But the lingering effects of it are really great. It's not like a throat burn. It's a little chest.
Yes.
But it's not even a burn. It's just more like a soft heat, like somebody rubbed a little Vicks on your chest.
yes. And this is the dark.
Mm-hmm.
This is quite light.
Yeah.
For a dark rum.
Well, I mean, you know,
it's definitely not Kraken.
Right. Well, the Kraken is a spiced rum.
Right. But that's really like black.
That's yeah. And I think what happens, and I don't know this for sure. Maybe somebody who's more familiar with spirits can tell me, but I believe that the more you add to your blend, the lighter your final product becomes.
Oh.
Right. So
okay.
You just think about like a Scotch. A lot of times, if you have a single malt Scotch, it's got a really nice dark color to it. But then you take that and you add it to a few other scotches, you come up with a monkey shoulder. Now it's got this bright amber color to it versus that deep, that depth.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I really, really enjoyed this the first time I had it. I enjoyed it the second time I had it, and this is the third time I've had it, and I'm enjoying it again.
This is quite nice. I can get some of that baking spice, some of that banana peel that they said on their website.
Yeah.
Definitely some cedar.
And I believe because it's a little on the dry side, that's where you start picking up those tobacco notes and things like that, right?
Mm.
So you know, I think it's a quality product, and so I bought this from Montgomery County, and it runs roughly about $45 with tax. You right at $50.
Okay.
And well worth it. You know, last time I was here, I bought the Uncle Nearest, which is another black-owned company, and I'm really happy to see these companies come into fruition and offer some representation in a space that really is underrepresented, which is very similar to cigars, right? And probably coffee too. You think about it, it's like, a lot of these products are created in regions and spaces and by people who are brown. but very few people who are brown own these companies. And it just makes me proud to see things like this, so well done. I was so nervous.
Nervous?
Yeah, I was nervous because I didn't want to not like it.
Okay.
Right?
But it's really a departure. Like if you have the idea of rum in your mind, it's really very different than the typical rum. Like it really has, to me it has reflections, a lot of strong reflections of Scotch.
Yeah.
Like
I would agree with that.
Very interesting for a rum. Very, very.
And I wonder if that's happened because of the aging of it in the ex-bourbon barrels.
Oh, that could be
that pretty much gets rid of that molassesy, that sweetness, and imparts some
of that bourbon character to it.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I wonder why they chose the bourbon barrel. That's an interesting choice.
Well, it's almost serendipitous though when you think about it, because all the bourbons are choosing are aging in rum casks.
True. That's right.
Right. So you're like, okay, hey, they're doing it one way, we can do it the other.
All right, I have been using your technique of relighting through the side.
Yeah.
That's quite effective.
It is, right? And you don't get that charring that happens when you try to light the middle.
And you don't get all that mess.
Yeah.
So Tony says, I believe it was the first, and the Trinford was the Black Label was the first, Trinford was second, and then the original Black Label jar was the full size. And I think the original Black Label was the jar was the Bellicoso.
It was the Bellicoso.
Yeah, because I still have a full jar. I still have a full jar of that.
Yeah. It was a closed foot Bellicoso.
That was with
the little nipple on the.
Ooh, yeah, that was delicious.
I mean, that thing was beautiful, man. If you find Rahul over at Tobacco Leaf ran across a guy who was selling his cigars this was years ago, maybe 6 years ago. He had a collection. He was selling them all.
Oh, I remember that.
Remember that?
Yeah.
And he got a jar of the original Black Labels.
That's good stuff.
And it was aged very well taken care of. But I was so accustomed to how the Black Labels tasted.
You mean the release ones?
Right. I was like, these are a little past being good.
You mean the jar one or the
original?
Oh, okay.
Because it aged out. That's kind of like what we're just talking about. Like the cigars really do. I mean, yeah, you can keep them indefinitely and they'll burn, right? But flavor-wise, they can age out.
Well, it's interesting. Like in my experience, and this is something that George in another podcast that he was commenting on, kind of gave a little more confirmation of that. But like, I had some cigars that I waited for a long time, smoked it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I've totally wasted my time because I've totally these are not very good. And then I was like, okay, I'm just going to leave it alone because I'm just depressed.
Right.
Waited another few years and then smoked the one again. It was really good. So evidently, from what George had mentioned one day, that there's like a sine wave. So they'll be great, then go fallow, then get nice, and then get fallow again. So it could be that time when you had that originally. It could have been in a fallow season.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, at the end of the day, what we're talking about is agriculture products, right? It's not like you spraying flavor on and the flavor's dissipating.
Although sometimes you wish you did.
Well, sometimes there is. That does happen.
And then Tony also says that Trinford was first, Black Label 2012, Petit Lancero in 2015. Maybe. Nice.
Oh, we got some Tatuaje fans, huh? Awesome. I had to see that. My memory's bad. That's why I created Humidor Notes. I had to refer back.
That's right. So make sure you go to humidornotes.com. A 3-pack for $13. Shameless plug.
Yeah, but that
Preserve your cigar memories.
Yes.
With Humidor Notes.
Yes. But listen, it says on the back, it says, to remember the details of your cigar enjoyment.
Yes. Oh, yes. Very nice, very nice. The Humidor Network.
So tell me this, you've been riding your bike lately.
I have been trying to ride my bike.
What's
My
going-
goal has been to do 3 days a week.
Okay.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I have yet to do that one week.
Yeah.
Like I've done 2 days. Mm-hmm. This week I might do 2 days.
Okay.
I did Wednesday. Mm-hmm. I should do tomorrow. But actually, I've been kind of tripped up by the weather, like the thunderstorms we've been having the last couple weeks.
Because you ride in the evening.
Yeah, I ride it in around 7 p.m.
Right.
I like to go out later in the day when it's a little bit cooler.
Yeah.
And actually, one day, last week, I think it was last week, Wednesday, I was all geared up. I got the pants on. I'm ready to go. And then I see these like massive like thunder clouds. I was like, oh man. So I just bailed. I took off my pants and everything. I was like, oh, damn it. And then like I was thinking I should just go anyway. No. I was looking for an excuse.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, the rain never came. I was like, oh man. It's one of those times when you're like, you know you should be doing it. Mm-hmm. You're trying to do it, and you know you took the easy way out. And then when your excuse doesn't materialize, you're like, I should have gone.
Yeah, you played yourself.
Yeah, I played myself.
But I haven't done it. The only cycling I've ever done was like in the classes inside the LA Fitness or whatever, the cycling classes. I don't own a bike.
Oh, that's boring. That's mind numbing. To me, that's like, oh, I'm gonna kill myself.
It's like treadmill, huh?
Yeah. Like it's so. If I'm like, I used to go to the gym years ago and do the treadmill in the morning. But man, to stand there watching whatever CNN or like whatever that Oprah or what. Oh, God, I just can't. Oh man.
This reminds me. I don't know if I ever told. Jerry Seinfeld had a skit one time, right? and he was talking about, he had joined the gym. He started going to a gym. Right? He's like, so when I was at the gym, he's like, I was just pretending like I had a jump rope. So I was just like, just jumping up and down. He didn't have a rope. He just jumping, right? And somebody, one of the bodybuilders came over to him and says, hey, why don't you get a real jump rope? And he says, why are you worried about what I'm doing? Like, you come over here messing with me. I ain't messing with you. He's like, listen, why don't the guy over there on the row machine get a real boat? Why don't the person on the track run track? He's like, why don't the guy over there with the bike, why don't they get a real bike? He's like, this whole place is a sham. You gonna mess with me? This whole place is a whole bunch of people pretending.
Have you done jump rope lately, though?
I have.
Oh, have you really?
Yes, I love jumping rope.
Man, so right before the pandemic hit, right before they did the shutdown, Mike Rosales was in town. Mm-hmm. So he came down here. We're hanging out, talking, and Mike's a chubby guy, right? Mm-hmm. Chubby guy, and he was just telling me when he was here, he's like, I found these jump rope guys on YouTube, and I bought one of their jump ropes. Like, evidently it's like $150 jump rope, right? He bought this super nice jump rope set. He's like, I'm starting to do it. I said, oh, that's awesome, man. Uh-huh. And so ever since we talked about that, I've been thinking I need to buy a jump rope. So I finally one day I was at the Dick's Sporting Goods, and I bought a jump rope, the leather one. They had one, and I was like, oh, for $30. The last one they had left, right? The pandemic.
Right.
And man, like you've seen Mike recently, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's slimmed down. He's doing real well with that. And but man, jump rope is tough.
Oh yeah.
You know what? A guy with my tummy cannot do jump rope. It's super brutal. It's like brutal.
Yeah.
So I haven't really done much. I need to get the bike and like lose a little bit first before I can.
The key to jump ropes, in my opinion, is intervals.
Tell me.
Yeah, so like I have an app on my phone that I use for, it's called Interval Timer, right? And so I have a jump rope setting.
Okay.
For it's a total of what, like my longest one is maybe 27 minutes of jump rope, right? And what it basically is, I'm jumping for a minute, and then I may have 30 seconds of rest.
Okay.
And then I jump rope for a minute again, 30 seconds of rest or whatever. And I just keep it going that way. And then after, before you know it, you really done a 30-minute workout, and it works well. I don't have the jump rope I have, a friend of mine gave it to me. And he had bought a new fancy jump rope.
Oh,
and
nice.
He was like, hey, you
Probably
want
got
this one?
Mike's jump rope.
I was like, well, give me the one you were using. And it's enough for me. I hate it, but I still do it.
Yes.
Still do it. And, I'm actually coming off of a hip injury, so I haven't done it in quite some time. But I started running again a couple weeks ago. So
nice.
I'm only up to a mile at a time. And I mean, that's good for me. I'm gonna stay there for a while till I can make sure that I don't re-injure myself.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna add in the jump rope, and since I'm vaccinated, I'm gonna start going back to the gym, lifting a little bit. So I gotta get this life routine back in the gear. Pandemic kind of made me a little lazy. On the back end, once I got injured, I was hiking, and it was nice, man. I really cut some weight, man. But shoot, you wouldn't be able to know right now looking at me.
Yeah.
And people think, oh, he's vegan, so he, I'm like, man, when it's all said and done, it's about calories.
You're like, I'm eating chickpeas like a mother.
Give me that Beyond.
I had 4 cans of chickpeas
I had
yesterday.
2 Beyond burgers today. I didn't today, but I can. Beyond burgers.
But that's all vegetable.
Yeah, but it's still calories.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
And if you're not burning the calories.
If you ain't burning the calories, shoot, it's going to go to my mid
I would like to use the pandemic as an excuse. Like, I got the tummy because of pandemic. I don't know that tummy was here before pandemic.
Just use it and then get over it and start back. Like,
well, for me with the jump rope, right? It's just brutal on my knees. Like, I'm like, I gotta. It's just too much.
Well, how long do you do it?
Man, it's just about getting the hop.
Yeah, so you gotta use your toes more. You gotta activate that heavy D, heavy D in you.
And then I'm gonna like crush my metatarsals and then I'll be like,
your calves gonna be this big. Your legs gonna look like Popeye's arms.
My PCP's gonna be like, well, if that guy should not be jumping rope right now, you need to be riding the bike. And like, all right, riding.
But you actually have to jump rope with good shoes too, though, right? It's just as important. I use Pegasus, Nike Air Pegasus when I jump rope.
Is that designed for that?
No, but it's designed for running,
okay.
Right? And so that air pocket too just really helps with that pop,
All right, I gotta stop buying New Balance at the outlet store. What's that defect? That defect's fine.
It's okay as long as you ain't get the Steve Jobs version of New Balance. Them Steve Jobs New Balances is something else. Them things are straight up granddad New Balances. Like,
well, speaking of which, what you were saying about the jump rope that you have, you got the hand me down from your friend. It's like you said something about it, like you got to work. It's good for what you need to do.
Yeah.
Right? It's like my bike, right? So Tony, years ago, like this is 1998, like Tony and one of our other friends, they were like, we found a great deal on mountain bikes. We're going to start mountain biking. You should get one too. I was like, it was a good deal. But I was like, you know what? I'm not buying a bike.
right.
I got a bike.
Right.
I got a bike that I bought like in 1989. And I said to them, all right, this is the deal. I will buy a new bike when my abilities exceed the bike.
Right.
I'm still on the same.
Well, the question. I hear you, which is a smart way. It's very frugal of you.
Yes, I have to. It's a forced frugality.
Yeah, but the thing is that the technology in bikes have changed so much. that you may be working against yourself because you're working with a heavy bike or something that's just not technologically, absorbent or any of those things, right? So you may be missing out on things that would fatigue your body less by using that old ass bike.
That old busted bike. That's a good point. That's a good point.
So
There's also a thing called Strava. Have you heard of this Strava? My friend Ray, she's really, really fit. Like, she does the road biking thing. Like, I think for her, 100 miles is no big deal, right?
Okay.
On a Tuesday kind of thing, right?
Wow.
And so she's like, yeah, I used the Strava, and Strava is this app on your phone.
Oh, I have heard of that.
I guess it monitors it maps where you go.
Yeah.
And then you share it, so other people can see it. And like, some of my other friends that are have gotten into cycling during the pandemic use that. They're like, why don't you use it? I'm like, man, I do not want anyone to see it. Like right now on my social media, it looks like I'm doing 45 miles. I don't want anyone to know it's a mile and a half.
It's so funny, right? Because I see some people post their Strava stuff on Instagram and stuff, and I'm like, did you run that, or was that a bike?
You turned on your car. That's what you did.
It's like it's slow enough for it to have been a run. And you on the bike. Like, what are you riding, a beach cruiser? Like, what's the point?
That's funny. And then buddies say now they have batteries. The bikes.
They do.
I see guys on the trail. Like, I ride on a trail.
Yeah.
Right? I don't do street riding because
Yeah.
I don't want to get run over by a car.
Right.
And but yeah, I see the guys on the trail, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty. But that's not working out.
Well, that's cheating.
That's cheating.
You get. Oh, I conquered this trail.
I did 30 miles.
20
I only pedaled for like 2.
20 of them, 25 of them is motorized.
Plus, I also think like these bikes, they look pretty heavy, right? Like when the battery dies, that's a lot more to pedal.
Well, that battery's not gonna die.
Why is it regenerative?
Yeah, so your pedaling charges the battery.
You
don't plug the bike up. You pedal to charge into the bike.
Oh, I didn't. Okay, I said okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of like the kinetic watch, right? Your wrist movement.
But they're like $4,000.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't.
Like, if I'm gonna spend $4,000 for anything motorized, I might as well just get a motorcycle. And just make this enjoyable versus I'm gonna spend $4,000 to get tortured. Hell no.
Oh no. Yeah, see, buddies who said you don't have to pedal. They go, like that's the ultimate. And Buddy, I don't know if you know, but Buddy actually does the skateboarding thing. The electric skateboarding thing.
Oh right, so
they got the controller.
Yeah, what's the longboard?
Yeah,
right? Yeah. So there's a guy on Instagram who became famous for you know the guy who with the ocean spray cranberry juice, dog face or something like that.
Yes.
And
he's on skateboarding too.
Yeah. So that's his original video was him skateboarding with the ocean spray cranberry juice, not caring, just drinking while he was boarding and whatever. And this guy was damn near homeless, right?
Oh.
And because of that video turning viral, this guy really, it changed his life. And I think it happened at a time when everybody just had no hope and they didn't have any reason to enjoy life with the pandemic. There was so much uncertainty. And this guy stepped on the scene and he's like, no worries, with his longboard and drinking ocean spray. Now he's selling these longboards and stuff and on different paraphernalia, just gear, like, t-shirts and all. He has a whole little brand.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
And it's a really cool story. And then he took everybody on a little tour of his, of the last place he stayed before he became famous. And it was like this little trailer tucked away, like it didn't have like the necessities and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so it was great story.
That's a great story.
Yeah. Dog face. If you all I can't remember what exactly his handle is on
Maybe
Instagram.
it's dog face.
I mean,
I think it's dog face something. You know.
On Instagram?
On Instagram. Let's see, dog face. And I think he's a dog face 208. Got 3.1 million followers now.
Wow.
3.1 million followers. And his website is dogfacemerch.com.
Is this guy? No, not this guy. Dogface 208.
Yeah, that's not him. He's with two G's. Dogface with two G's. But yeah, I mean, it really did change his world.
Oh, here we go. Oh,
Yeah.
Cholo looking guy.
Yeah. But I think he's, if I'm not mistaken, he's maybe in Oregon,
Okay.
or something like that. Yeah.
Oh, and he's dancing. Look at that. That's awesome.
Well, yeah, because he's just living life to his fullest now. He's like, you know, and he's so humble, and every time you look around, he's smiling, and he's like, yo, this is a life that I never could have imagined.
Oh, that's
and,
awesome.
And he brought so much joy to people just from recording himself longboarding and drinking Ocean Spray. He ended up getting like a contract with Ocean Spray.
Ocean Spray. That's awesome. Hey, speaking of labels and or companies and brands, I don't know if you saw this on Facebook, but McCormick Company is looking for a director of tacos.
What?
Yeah, so the McCormick Company, which is actually based right down the street from here,
Okay.
they're looking for.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, they're looking for something called the director of tacos, something like that, where you're going to be this person that is going to make social media videos
Okay.
about tacos, as well as doing research and I don't know, some kind of greater understanding of tacos for McCormick. It's a 4-month gig, $25,000 a month.
Wow.
And they say the minimum requirement is 20 hours a month.
Well, McCormick
20 hours a week.
McCormick is really doing some innovative things. There's that's very innovative, and that's I'd love to see how that turns out.
Yeah.
They also just did a deal with a lady by the name of Tabitha Brown, where she has her own seasoning, and I think it's called Sunshine Seasoning or something like that.
Oh.
And you know, they're doing these cross-branded things now too. McCormick is like innovating the spice industry. Like, yo, who would have thought that McCormick, this
big company with all like
what we think is like, okay, it's that salt, that's fucking pepper, that's paprika, but no, McCormick is really stepping out there, and I think they've done quite a few acquisitions over the years too. You know, I think Durkee's was one of the acquisitions. And I remember when, I don't know if you remember this time, but I was working in a restaurant at the time, and Frank's hot sauce was bought by Durkee's.
Oh, okay.
Right? And they changed the name on the thing to Durkee's hot sauce, right? And it was it was a revolt. People would stop buying it and everything. It was the same thing. But people was like, man, I ain't buying no Durkee's. Like, that don't even sound right.
Give me my Pete's. That's what
yeah. So it's like, nah. And they end up changing it back, even though they still own it. They changed it back to Frank's hot sauce.
Oh, Frank's. Okay, yeah.
Right. So it was a similar situation from when, like, you know, when it's like the new Coke or.
Oh yes.
They went from classic, then they had to come back and call it the
Classic.
original classic Coke. Oh man, but that's when you start thinking about companies corporately, like they make dumb moves like that, right? Because they're so detached. So when you say McCormick is doing these things that are really innovative and really immersing themselves in communities and things like that, and then the stuff that I've seen by them, that's really damn cool.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing with McCormick is that, and I wonder how this might go into their corporate planning, but I have some people that were telling these guys work in spice, and they were talking about world population, right? And so right now we're at 7.5 billion people worldwide.
Well, it might be 6.5 now.
Oh, right.
Since the pandemic.
Well, that's probably to our benefit. But what they were saying is that
What's your name? Thanos?
but these guys were saying that like this is all discussions before the pandemic hit, right?
Right.
And they were telling me that one of the things they think that by 2050, spices as we know it today will not necessarily be gone, but will become much more of a luxury item. Because as the population grows to 10 billion,
Okay.
like they said right now it's 7.5 billion, or last year it was 7.5 billion, and our arable land on the planet really is for a population of 5 billion. So as the population grows, they will have to convert more of these like spice lands to protein production just for sustenance of humanity.
Which is a ridiculous thought. This is a plug for veganism, right? Mm-hmm. Right, because people only think they can get protein. I can only get protein from an animal, and that's really what's destroying, the environment. And with everything that's with all this land being used for grazing and all this and all that. It's like, hold on, and I would agree with whomever made that statement, except for these meat alternatives are becoming much more popular.
Yes.
And so it's going to cut down on the amount of land needed for these cattle ranches and things like that, which is not good for the cattle ranchers.
Right.
It's not good for
I mean, they'll just have to convert to agricultural. I mean, to growth.
Well, it's just funny thing about it, plenty of them are actually buying steak in these alternative meat
I believe it.
Right? It's almost like, the gasoline companies are buying steak in these electric alternatives, right? And, so I think that if you look at a study in a silo like that, okay, well, we won't have the land to produce, then yeah, it can offer some scarcity fears. But I really believe that if you start looking at how things are balancing out on the other side of it, okay, you don't grow spices in a silo, and you don't grow meat or protein in a silo either.
Right.
So these things are interchangeable and work with each other. And when one thing is the demand ups on it, it maybe raises the demand on something else, and vice versa. You know what I mean? So I think we'll be okay, and I hope we are okay because they make statements like variety is the spice of life for a reason, right? You need these things to actually definitively give you different cultural experiences.
Well, I mean, yes, I would definitely agree with you on that, but I also think that I think if we look back at the history of food, it's only in modern times, relative modern times, maybe the last 100 years, that we've really reached this point of, like we have all the spices available at Giant or whatever.
Sure.
Right? It's only
except
now.
for dry cilantro, man. I guess it's hard to find dry cilantro.
Is it really? But I'm saying that right now we have this amazing world of like food and experience, but I don't think earlier generations of humans ever had any of that.
Well,
So, I mean, we grew our population to a point with essentially bland food, and then eventually we
no,
may
not
have to
at
go back.
all. No, not at all. I mean, the spice trades was what created the port cities and port
But
towns.
wasn't the spice trades more for? I mean, the spice weren't they more luxury items for the wealthy?
Well, I don't know, but salt is salt, right? And the only way to preserve things in the past has been salt.
Well, not that. Well, that's not always true, but yes, okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, you salt it or you ferment it. You don't have many more
I think it was
options.
more fermentations and like other methodology, like even like confying. Like cooking out the water and meat and then encasing it in fat. I think.
Yeah, but I guess my point is that first of all, nobody's eating meat without spice. They just you ain't gonna do it.
Now,
I don't think you would have done it back in the day. Listen,
I don't know. People had a choice.
you did have a choice. You just eat the vegetables.
Well, I do think that in different parts of the world where there were more agrarian based, they would be eating more vegetable. Like I think it's only in modern times that we've eaten like meat as a main source of sustenance is a new phenomenon.
It is absolutely a new phenomenon. And nobody would have ever thought that people would eat meat 3 times a day. What the fuck? What? 3 times a day you gonna eat some meat?
I wanted 4.
So most people ate meat once a week if they were lucky.
Right.
Right? And I tell people all the time, like, yo, vegetables make everything better. If you didn't have
True.
vegetables, nobody would eat meat.
Yeah.
There's nobody just taking a ribeye and just cooking it with 0 salt or pepper or anything. Just cooking the ribeye.
Yeah, that's not happy. That's not a happy ribeye. That's not a happy.
And you're going to start chewing on it. You be like,
I want that butter. I want the salt. So Amazon can deliver to you as much salt as you need.
You're right, Tony.
And then he doesn't want to, So the other day I was making steak, right? And I was watching this video from Thomas Keller. You know Thomas Keller?
I don't.
He's the chef owner of a place called the French Laundry, one of the more lauded restaurants in the world.
That's in California.
Yes. And so I was just watching his video, and he was talking about how you pan roast this steak with butter, crushed garlic, and thyme. So I was like, the other day, last week, I was like, I'm going to give that a try. And so I made it that way. It's good. Don't get me wrong. It's good. But me, I just like salt.
Yeah, you might should have used the salted butter. You should have used unsalted butter.
No, you always want to use unsalted butter. You control your salt. But like, I don't know if the garlic and the thyme, did it really add anything that it wasn't.
Well,
I like the raw meat.
So you can't be chinchy with your spices and herbs, right?
Right.
The Indians, they understand. They understand. East Indians and West Indians, they understand spice.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. And
I mean, look at their food, man.
Yeah,
That's just wonderfully vegetarian and like flavorful.
They just layer on top of layer on top of layer. If you get a little spoonful of whatever the juice is in what you're eating, I mean that thing right there is a meal in and of itself. It's like wow. So that's a beautiful thing. I have I don't know if you know, but yeah, you probably do know. I think I told you that I do some design work. Just, outside of my business advisory stuff, I do design work and a lot of website designs too. And the guy who builds the websites after I designed them, he's in Kerala, India.
Yes.
Right, and Kerala, India, which is like one of the spice capitals of the world.
Oh.
Right? They have fields and fields of peppercorn and like all the and when you think about buying satchels of spices, right? You see them in the markets in Kerala, and it's like wow, like you like I'm not sprinkling. We sprinkle.
Oh yeah, and
they scoop.
Yes.
Right? And my grandmother being from Panama, with roots from Bahamas and my granddad being from Jamaica, like with roots in Jamaica from Panama, with roots in Jamaica. Like I grew up with scoops of seasoning on food. Ooh. So when I started working in a restaurant, right?
Were you cooking?
Yes.
You're like, what are you doing?
They came to me like, "What are you doing? Like this? Like you can't put that much Cajun seasoning on the chicken breast.
Well, I can't taste the seasoning yet
And
that
I'm
way.
like, well, why is it called Cajun then? Look, I'm up there, Cajun spice. Look, flip it. Ladle on butter. Cajun spice. Ladle on butter. Cajun spice.
That's awesome.
And so when it go out, it looks Cajun. Right?
Yes.
And I'm thinking, oh, this is beautiful. Meanwhile, the folks in the dining room coughing. It was a restaurant called Pargo's.
Oh, I know that place. God.
And they're like, we thought this was American food.
It's like, this is too much Cajun stuff.
It's like, yo, we ordered the Cajun salad. Can we get a little bit of salad with this Cajun?
And so Rusty says, butter based, very key. When I worked the meat station, Rusty's a chef up in New Jersey.
Okay.
When I worked the meat station, every piece of meat was basted in butter, rested, and then reheated on pickup with, oh, excellent.
That's
Did
right.
you ever try doing that, Rusty? I saw that somebody did this video or a picture about it, where they were sous videing their steak in butter.
Oh, wow.
That looked, I've always wanted to try that. Did you try that? Have you tried that? And then he also says, on a busy Saturday night, I would normally go through 12 pounds. Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And you would go through more if you were doing sandwiches as well, right? Because the bread was not going out unless it was buttered. I mean, and it wasn't like you know how we at home you take the butter and you scrape it on the bread. No, they had this wheel.
Oh yeah.
And you do the bun on the wheel and you like roll it and roll it, roll. You throw it on the flat top.
It's like,
and it smells great.
You're like, oh,
You got this sound, and so now if I'm doing a club sandwich, right? It's 3 pieces of bread with butter and some meat in between.
like, this is the best club sandwich ever.
Like, yeah, baby.
Oh, it looks like Tony went to your restaurant.
Good old Fargo's.
My gosh, Pargos. That was a long time ago, Pargos.
Yeah, it was, man. It was a great experience. I started working there when I was 16.
Wow.
And I worked there through college. Even went to like Cisco in Virginia. I can't remember what the town is called in Virginia, but went to their meat cutting seminar.
Oh, nice.
And they taught me how to cut filet and taught me how to cut ribeyes and you know how to cook prime rib, and I mean just extensive 3-day session. Me and the general manager of the store, and the best part about it was, you know, we got to keep the meat that we cut.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
And my general manager was like, I don't want this meat. She was like, take this meat.
I'm gonna take that home.
And I was like, I got you. So I had the best Memorial Day cookout ever for my neighborhood. People were coming to get teriyaki chicken, barbecue, barbecue basted ribeyes,
Oh
and
my gosh.
filet. Look, making filet burgers. I had no idea how important the filet was. So I'm like, man, just go and put it on a bun, man. This is gonna be real good.
This is the best sandwich I ever had. So Tony's brother also worked at Pargos.
Wow.
Ah.
Which one?
Yeah, which one were you at? The one in Laurel?
So no, I was at the one in Chesapeake, Virginia.
Oh, right, because you're from that area.
Right. So they had one up in Manassas, up in this area. So Manassas and I think it was like maybe a total of maybe 7 or 8 locations, and it was a company. It was a. So if you think about something like General Cigars launching a boutique line. So Pargos was the boutique line of Shoney's.
Oh, okay.
So Shoney's owned Pargos. Shoney's actually gave me a scholarship for college too. Like,
wow.
Because I was in management of Pargos by the time I got to school. By the time I was like second year in college. But like it was, yeah, Shoney's really was, and everything was made in house. It was very few things with it were shipped in already done, right? With the exception of stuff like Alfredo sauce. It's like, man, nobody's gonna make that. You know, it's expensive if you mess it up, right?
Right, exactly.
And but yeah, we did. It was a great restaurant. Very, very cool concept. Beautiful buildings. I mean, the buildings structure-wise were just phenomenally architecturally phenomenal. Like they were just really beautiful. The bar was great. I mean, this was American style food that was just French dip. Like we would have the prime rib. When the prime rib didn't sell, you ain't sell a lot. That means we was running a French dip special the next day, baby. Like, you know, the shrimp, the seafood special didn't do. That means you're gonna have a seafood quiche the next day. And it was so cool because they gave you even though it was a corporate environment, they gave you freedom to experiment and things like that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So Tony says about the hutch punch in the
Yeah, totally.
Nice. And then his brother worked at the Harrisonburg one.
So that would So yeah, that's the Harrisonburg is where the meat cutting seminar was.
Oh, okay.
Because I get Harrisonburg and Harrisburg mixed up in my mind.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it was Harrisonburg was where the Cisco plant was. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, nice. And then Rusty says he's never cooked a steak sous vide in butter, but he did work at a place on Thanksgiving. They poached turkey breast in Beurre-Monterre. Oh, nice. So the Beurre-Monterre is that like a butter sauce.
Okay.
So that's interesting. Nice.
It's like the butter sauce that they use for like a scampi.
No, I think it's a little bit different. Like from what I remember, you make the Beurre-Monterre, like you take your saucepan, you heat like a tablespoon of water, and then you add the butter and you whisk it in. It creates this
cream
emulsified sauce.
Yeah.
So it doesn't break.
Yeah. I didn't even know what emulsified meant till I had to make the damn buffalo sauce for the wings.
It's a blended sauce. That's
yeah, but you know, you was gonna get in trouble if you made that buffalo sauce and it broke. Oh, you was gonna get in trouble, right?
That's nasty.
So you had to add this xanthan gum to it and a little balsamic.
Oh, you added xanthan gum to it?
Yeah, and a little balsamic vinegar.
You know, I always found it relatively easy to make that. Like, well, at least I only made it with just peats and butter.
Yeah,
and
but
just whisk it.
There is a level of acidity that won't allow the emulsification to stand, right? So if you add way too much hot sauce, you know, and you put it near heat,
it breaks. Okay.
So
I wonder then maybe that's why they don't really use like Tabasco to make that. It's too acidic.
Yeah, Tabasco. I don't know who likes Tabasco.
I like Tabasco, but only in certain applications.
Really, like what application is Tabasco good in?
So I like to. So there's two main applications for me for Tabasco.
Okay.
I like them fried eggs. Well, Bloody Mary's good. 3 of them. I like them on fried eggs, like sunset fried eggs.
Okay.
And then in Hawaii we have this type of with this condiment called macaroni salad. It's a basic macaroni salad. It's not too fancy, but I like the way that that vinegary sharpness cuts through the mayo on it.
Yeah.
And those are the really.
It's a very distinct flavor.
It's very
though.
distinct.
Like what the hell kind of peppers are they using in Tabasco?
Tabasco peppers.
Oh, is that? Really?
I think it's actually called Tabasco. Is that
really?
Right? That's right, Rusty. I think Rusty.
Right. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I've never been able to enjoy Tabasco sauce.
Too sharp.
It's too far of a departure from Frank's or Crystal or see those are like
the Southern classics.
Yeah.
Especially Crystal, right?
Right. So but the Tabasco was always just maybe just didn't have enough seasoning in it for me. Like, you know, garlic powder, a little, you know, onion powder, and all these things that kind of...
Maybe it's that Cajun versus Creole thing. Maybe that's what
it is. Cajun versus Creole. Is it really a versus? I don't know.
And so Rusty says he likes Tabasco's on egg rather than ketchup. So I think it's good. Like, for me, sunny side up eggs.
Yeah.
On scrambled eggs or like omelet, then I prefer Pete's.
So basically, you like it on slimy stuff. So oysters too, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, four ways. And then Rusty says hollandaise, the bane of my emulsified sauces for Sunday brunch.
Oh my god.
30 eggs, 6 pounds of clarified butter. Oh my god.
Hollandaise was so difficult. It was the most difficult sauce that I ever had to make because we used hollandaise over the quiche.
Oh right, okay.
Right. So you do your quiche.
No eggs Benedict.
We would do eggs Benedict only for the brunch, the Sunday brunch. But I never worked Sundays because I was really into church at that time.
Oh, okay, that's good.
It was like I would be in church, so I never had to work Sunday brunch. But that hollandaise, man, that stuff took time, man. You had to babysit it, and man, you nothing worse than scorching some hollandaise, man. You scorch it, and you're like, oh no, you got to throw everything out because it immediately permeates through the whole batch. There's no saving it.
Yeah. That's that's kind of thing. If you ever make bolognese, like I do the style of bolognese where you take you do the vegetables first, then you add the meats,
right,
and then you add wine. You reduce the wine all the way down. If you're really risky, you'll bring it till it's almost dry.
Okay.
And then you'll add the cream, and then you bring it all the way down too.
Okay.
Man, if you lose track of that, man, and you scorch that milk, you're screwed. Dump it all out. You can scorch the meat like in the early part, and it's still fine.
Right.
But you
that
scorch
milk.
Yeah, man. That's the worst. Yeah. That's the worst. And so Rusty says Tabasco is just heat and spice. No, yes, I agree with that. It's very much heat. To me, it's heat and vinegar. And the nuance is not there. Like I think Cholula is really has a lot of layering as far as flavor.
Well, yeah, but it is classically South American, right? It's Mexican. Yeah. Right. So it's classically the flavors in that are designed for that Mexican style eating, right? So you can never put that on a Southern dish, right? Like grits. Or chicken and waffles. It won't work with chicken and waffles, right?
You put hot sauce on chicken and waffles?
Oh hell yeah!
Oh, I've never tried that.
Oh yeah.
So Crystal on chicken and waffles.
Frank's
with the syrup.
Yeah, if they don't have Frank's, I will use Crystal.
Okay.
Yeah,
Crystal's a little bit on the softer side. I think.
I think it's more salty. I think Crystal's a little bit more salty than Frank's, but yeah. I mean, but I still do chicken and waffles to this day, but it's not real chicken. It's It's vegan chicken.
Was it
right?
like a tofurkey or something like that, or
why you want to
seitan?
No.
Why are you so shameful of it? You should be proud, man.
It's whatever chicken's available. Whatever fake chicken is available. I had something so when I was down in Hampton Roads this past weekend, like I went to this place that was an alkaline restaurant, and they did this chicken and waffle sandwich. But it wasn't chicken. It was chicken and waffle sandwich. But it's a gluten-free waffle, which I wasn't a big fan of. But they used a mushroom as the chicken, fried, crispy mushroom.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
It was, man. I gobbled that thing. It was really good.
Speaking of mushrooms, so this last batch of bolognese that I made last week, right? Mm-hmm. I was at the store buying like the beef and the pork, right? The pork sausage.
Right.
And then I thought to myself, you know what? Let me see if I can fortify this a little bit more with some mushrooms. So I added the mushrooms as part of the protein.
Right.
Man, it's really nice.
It
turns out really well.
It's funny because the mushrooms really has this meaty quality to it. And
but the portobello burgers, that's kind of like boring.
I hate that shit.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, man, don't give me no portobellos on the grill. I don't like that. I'm personally not a fan of that. It is boring.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
It is boring. I don't like boring food. I mean, I still really like exciting things. I like stuff that takes my taste buds in different spaces and stuff, and spices. And I'm a foodie still. Mm-hmm. Well, I was a foodie before. That's how I got to be 325 pounds, right?
Nice.
So I mean, and that didn't change. And it was,
And with the evolution of veganism in the country, we're seeing a lot more options available than ever before. When I first started, you're right, tofurkey was the shit. Like, that was all that was available. And then they started slowly coming up with different things. You know, it was a time when all you would be able to get is soy milk as an alternative, right?
Oh, right.
Right, and then almond milk came to the table, and then people was using cashew milk and coconut milk, and so all these different milk options. What alternatives you use as pro?
Soy and almond.
Soy and almond.
But here's the thing. Like, I hate the soy.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. So like, what I don't like in America is, like, I could dig almond milk, right? Like,
Right.
I'll make almond milk, right, with like almonds and some, like, let's say 75% almonds, 25% macadamia. Put that in water, blend it.
Sounds good.
Man, that macadamia adds a beautiful creaminess to it, right?
No doubt.
So, I love that. But like all this commercialized stuff,
Yeah.
like the soy milk, like if you've ever had fresh soy milk, like I used to get some from this Chinese guy,
Right.
and man, it spoils in like 2 days if you don't drink it all. But
Right.
man, the flavor is so fresh and vibrant and
Right.
just so like sweet and delicious. Like, it's awesome. But the stuff you buy here that's commercialized, that's why I don't drink any of it. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Well,
I'll just drink water.
I've just recently started using oat milk in my matchas in the
But the
morning.
problem with oat milk is that, so when oat milk first started getting popular,
Right.
I thought that, okay, because at Spro I always wanted, if we were going to really delve into more milks, I would prefer to have done them fresh in-house. So I started working on developing an oat milk recipe.
Right.
And basically that's just taking oats, putting them in water, blending them, straining, pressing them, right?
Right.
And actually that had, maybe add a little bit of salt, sugar to it, a little bit of salt,
Yeah.
pop the flavor a little bit, and it's really quite tasty.
Right.
But to make coffee drinks with, the moment you put that in a steam pitcher and hit it with the steam, what do you get?
But what happens? It scorches it?
Oatmeal.
Ah.
It would like solidify, because once you heated the wheat
the
grains,
particles. Yeah.
it would just swell, and then like you're like, oh my god, I can't. So in order for them to get, I was reading a little bit of the process.
Even if you didn't, it seemed like you could add more water that would keep it thin. And if you added more water to keep it thin, and then you added a couple of dates, the dried dates to give it a little bit of the sweetness, then the date would create this separation.
Well, I mean, you'd have to put a lot of dates, I think.
Yeah.
But in my testing, and I didn't test it too much, but like say like Oatly, from what I've read, Oatly is like highly industrialized.
Yeah.
So like I think the ironic thing in that case is that people want to say, oh, I want to do these alternatives because I want to get away from industrialization, I want to get away from dairy, I want to get away from all that. But it's a highly processed food.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, when you drink Oatly,
Because I think they're infusing it with like oils and other things to keep it from
keep it from becoming oatmeal, right?
Yeah.
So Oatly is. I mean, if you drink it, it tastes like the leftover milk from cereal.
Well, that's always a positive thing.
Yeah, I think that's a cool thing.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But once I added like a teaspoon of honey to it, it's like, oh, this is dope. So I use it as the base for my
What
matcha.
cereal?
Like
wheat,
like a corn,
Wheaties?
almost like a cornflake. Almost like a cornflake. Maybe, and then once you add the honey, it's more like a frosted flake left over.
I wonder if you could. What if you made a cornflake water?
Well, that's what that restaurant Milk in New York does, right? So they create all these desserts, these frozen desserts and stuff from the milk.
Oh, Milk Bar, yeah. But I mean,
right?
but that's using milk, infusing the milk with the cereal. But what I'm
Right.
thinking is like, when you're saying like the oat milk, what if you took? I wonder if you could take the cornflakes. Let's say cornflakes. Instead of using milk, because you want to get away from the dairy, right? The idea is, so if you took that, infused that into the water, could you build a structure that would have that flavor without the heavy industrialization?
Yeah, I think you could, but the key would be to not blend it. but to steep it instead. So you almost use the oat, even the oats. You use that as a almost like a tea leaf, right? And it so the
But you wouldn't get but I wonder if you
the
would get
reason why yours binded when you put the heat on it is because you actually broke up the integrity of the oat, right? So you released it.
But that's how you get the milky color. Otherwise, you're gonna add colorants to it.
No, you just well, it depends on how much water you put in, right? So if you put oats in there, it can't release but so much into the water.
But it's I'm totally. This is totally conjecture now. But
Sure.
the coloration of the liquid water is from the particulates of the product itself, right?
Sure.
So like with almond milk, it's the microparticulates of the.
Of the almond.
But almond and cashew, they won't. When they get hit by heat, they won't expand in the same way. So
Right.
I'm postulating that even if you were to do this, if you were to get the right coloration through infusion of the water with whole oats,
Maybe the answer is actually a
Maybe it's
hybrid.
to try experimentation.
Maybe the answer is more of a hybrid.
that could be.
Yeah. We're going on and on about.
I know we're on a. So Rusty says when he had to make hollandaise, he would need to clear a 30-minute window and not do anything.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he also thinks Frank's on chicken and waffles. He likes that.
Yeah.
And Tony thinks that creminis and portobellos have that meaty quality. Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
The creminis are really nice.
And
I like
the oyster mushrooms too, right?
Oh,
So
have you tried oyster mushrooms fried?
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
It is amazing. And you take the stalk of an oyster mushroom and you cut it into medallions, and you score it. It's damn near a scallop.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna have to try
cook it in
that.
the lemon butter sauce. Sear it on both sides.
Yeah.
Hey man, you would listen. I can't tell the difference because it's been so long since I had a real scallop. But it's really wonderful.
Oh, that sounds great.
It's wonderful. That lemon butter sauce really comes, and I use Miyoko's butter or Earth Balance, you know, and it works out really good. And then so there's this other process you do with mushrooms to get it, to like you were saying, the meaty quality. So one of the things you also do, I had to learn, is that you have to take mushrooms and you have to press. So you got it in the skillet with it, whatever you marinated it in or whatever, and you're cooking it. But then you got to take another pan and put on top of it and press the water out.
Right, I was gonna say the water.
Right, you're pressing the water out, and then ultimately you end up with this mushroom,
Compressed mushroom.
and it's
Oh.
it is wow, and it absorbs any of that liquid that you had in the pan, like it, without the water.
Right,
so
right.
You
Get that nice flavor. Oh, that sounds good.
yeah, man, yeah.
It's kind of like doing well, I guess to a certain extent, the Wellingtons. Cooking down the, what is that, the term for the,
Are you talking about Wellington? Man, I haven't heard that term in so long. Wellington.
I made a Wellington not too long ago.
It's like, okay, I haven't even heard of a Wellington in so long. Wow.
You're not watching Gordon Ramsay, that's why.
Yeah, I'm not watching Gordon Ramsay, but I did watch this show the other day. There was a documentary that was done by Anthony Bourdain. I actually skipped.
The one about his life?
It wasn't about Anthony Bourdain. So that comes out tomorrow. I
Oh,
believe.
tomorrow, okay.
But this one was about Tom. Like what was the guy's name? Skip had posted something about it on his Instagram, and I went there. It was on Netflix, and it was a great documentary about the guy who pretty much was the father of American food cuisine, and really kind of set the stage even for a chef to no longer be just seen as a kitchen guy,
but almost a celebrity.
An American guy.
Yeah. Dude had successful career.
Who's that, Rusty? Any ideas, Rusty?
Yeah, then he just disappeared off the scene. And then he was gone for years, like 15 years, just gone, right? And then when then Tavern on the Green brought him back, and the food world had changed so much that he was just like a fish out of water.
Oh,
But yeah, it was really, really good. I don't even. How do you find your history on?
there we go. Rusty says Jeremiah Tower.
That's who.
Yeah.
That's exactly who it was. Jeremiah Tower. He was a beast, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you watch this documentary, man, it's inspiring. It's sad. It's thought provoking. You start thinking about the impact that you would make in whatever industry you're a part of, right? And you could only hope to have as much influence in your space as he had.
Yeah.
Right? And he paved the way. He paved the way, man. And it's and Anthony Bourdain put together that documentary, and it's just like, wow. And Anthony's in it a couple of, a few times throughout the documentary, just giving his thoughts on it and stuff, and which is really eerie.
Oh, because because he's gone now.
Right, and but he was just talking about how much he loved this guy, and everybody loved him, but he was a stickler. He was strict. But he was fair. You know what I mean? And his whole thing was, I want to control everything. I want to control every plate going out in the kitchen. But he took a little dump of a place in Los Angeles and turned it into the most sought after restaurant in LA, right near City Hall, all this stuff.
Wow.
And basically it was a major earthquake that happened in LA where 40,000 people got displaced. And
that's what shut him down. Wow. The Last Magnificent, is that the name of the? Or is that just
that's a subtitle. So Last Magnificent, Jeremiah Tower, done by Anthony Bourdain.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
It's interesting, like, he leaves for 15 years, comes back. It's like, so I used to work in the movie business, right? Mm-hmm. Doing production. And so, I was there in the 90s, and, you know all the stuff what you're doing, and when you're involved, you're at the top of the game. And so
right.
I left in, like, 2001.
Right.
And over the years, I would go back and visit my friends and visit them on set and visit different sets. And as the years have progressed,
mm-hmm.
like one of my friends was a video assist guy, and like that's what I did for a while. And so I did video and sound. And to go back in recent years, if I had to go back to the industry, oh my God, I'd be the fish out of water. I'd be like, oh my God, I don't even know how to do the job anymore.
Right. Because it's not the same job.
It's not like it's changed so much, and the technology has just from where I can remember, it's like leaps and bounds.
And the unspoken part of it all is we've moved away from service. So mm-hmm. you're not creating for the service of the customer. You're creating for the service of a shareholder, or you're creating for the service of your bottom line. And it shows in how things are done. And it makes me even think about the tobacco industry too, right? To different retailers. Do you exist for the customers, or do you exist for your bottom line? Right? And the problem is that most people say, well, we're in business to make money, but you don't really see the beauty in making money through serving your customers. You see the beauty the beauty in you is to basically do a money grab on your customers, milk them, and then have a few things here or there that will keep them coming back.
that's not really the way to do it, right? You really benefit more from creating these environments that really cater to the folks who really have the disposable income to enjoy something like a cigar. And you make them feel so good that they never want to leave. And when they leave, they gotta come back, right?
Right.
But you don't ever want a situation where you're in a cigar lounge and you feel like you're a nuisance to the owner of the lounge. You want to feel like the owner of the lounge exists at your pleasure. We know that there's a business behind this.
Sure, of course.
Right? Like, if you don't make money, Spro doesn't exist.
Right.
Right? But, you also, well, I don't know, but I'm assuming, based off of who you are character-wise, you aren't saying add to their orders any and everything to the point of them saying, okay, that's enough. You're saying, you don't really understand coffee. I'm about to teach you. I'm about to show you. Here. Let me develop you as a customer, a discerning customer. That way I know you'll come back and you'll bring others and you'll tell others about it, because it's not just the commodity of coffee, it's also the experience that you're buying.
Yes,
right?
Yes, absolutely.
Right, and that's what's missing. That's the missing link in most lounges. I wouldn't say all, but most lounges. That's the piece that's missing.
Do you think there are some lounges that excel at that, serving the customer, creating an environment?
That's a really good question. I'm sure there are. I struggle to think of one.
Yeah.
I know that I felt that way about Holtz in Philly.
Okay.
I felt like Holtz really did.
You mean the back room at Holtz or the lounge upstairs? Just the store?
The store.
Okay.
I feel like they took their jobs very seriously. They dressed for their jobs. You went in, the folks had on shirts and ties and stuff, and they elevated your perception of this place just by how they presented themselves and their ability to help you through. Right? And even, I don't care if you're an experienced smoker or a novice, you were still going to get an experience there. Civil did that in the beginning.
In the beginning, yes,
right?
I remember that. That was really...
Civil. And Draper's did that in the beginning. I remember the first time I walked into Draper's, and George Brightman was the manager there, was the assistant manager there.
Oh, okay.
And I'm buying cigars, and he's like, well, before I bought, I was like, hey, George, what do you think? Like, I'm thinking of this, that, and the other. He's like, well, I have the rare Corojo, but it's neither rare nor Corojo. Sounds like a George statement, right? It's neither rare nor Corojo. He says, but if you like the rare Corojo, try this and try that. I was like, cool. I got him. Took him to the counter, paid for him. And his question after I paid for him was, are you cutting it or would you like me to cut it? Nobody's ever asked me. Sure, cut it. Cut it for me. And he cut the cigar for me. And he says, well, we have matches if you want to light with matches. We have spills, we have lighters. It's up to you, but I'd recommend. You recommending even how to light the cigar from me? All right, listen. I'd recommend you light this with a match. He pulls out the matches. I strike it. He's telling me the angle I need to hold the match at. He's telling me don't get it too close to the cigar and work the cigar and turn your cigar, but also he's creating this experience that I will never forget. Now, George and I are good friends to this day, but it started with a transaction. But it wasn't about the transaction for him. It was about how can I make it so that you understand that you're important to me.
Wow.
don't see that. I see a lot of places that open up in their party zones. You know, every time you turn around, it's ladies' night. It's fedora and pumps night, and it's like, I don't care. So,
I don't want an event.
First of all, I don't have a fedora, and I'm not coming to a cigar lounge to wear one
And make it all smoky smelling.
It's no disrespect to the people that are doing those events. Sure, okay, if that's what you're having fun with, but I put that in the category as when I was growing, like when I was younger, going to the all white parties or the all black parties, and the linen parties, and the pajama jammy jams. These are gimmicky things to bring out crowds to grab the money versus creating sustainable customers that will help you to stay around. So, that's my soapbox.
No, that's good. I mean, it's interesting. Like, I think about the first 2 cigar shops that I used to go to when I first started smoking. And the first one was a place called Don Pablo's Cigar Shop in Honolulu.
Okay.
And the manager there was very much like that. He was very welcoming, very creating an environment for you to enjoy and explore cigars and creating a community. And then when I moved back to Maryland, I found this place called Rolling Road Tobacco Warehouse.
Okay.
Which the ownership did very much the same.
Okay.
But I haven't really come across a place that went to that same level since.
Yeah.
Like, and Rolling Road, they did that in the early, like you said, with like some of these places, they did it in the early days. But as they got more successful, as the ownership got more buffered from the customer,
Right.
it changed.
Right. And what is that? Like, what is that? Like, what happens in the mind of an entrepreneur that's taking the risk in an industry that is under attack constantly, that makes them think, you know what, the customer experience is less important than us making this money.
Yeah.
I've been working with small business owners since 1996, which was my junior year in college. We created a small business center at college, and I've been working with small business even when I left school and started working at the bank. My market was small business owners. When I left the bank and started working in financial planning, my market was small business owners. That matriculated to me creating my own business where I was servicing small business owners. Like, these are things, and since day one, I've always preached customer experience. And people get it, and then they lose it.
Yeah, it's hard to understand. Well, that's hard. Let's see. The sad reality is that's probably it.
Tony, you're probably right there, man. You're probably right. So a cashier.
Maybe it changed after the boom, or because of the boom, in '97.
Well, I don't know. So all right. Before '97, we just didn't have a lot of cigar retailers. Even after '97, we just didn't have a lot of retailers.
But I mean, these 2 experiences that I had were prior to '97.
Right.
And so I wonder, like, when the boom came and everybody started making money, crazy money, or thought of it more as a money-making enterprise, maybe that's when the shift started to happen.
I think people need training, and I think that's partly the responsibility of something like a PCA, right? Like, PCA is an association. You should offer opportunities for business owners. Like, where else are they going to
Yes,
train?
okay, that's true. I agree with that.
Right?
I agree with that.
These are things that they don't even think about. What they're thinking about is the bottom line always. And the bottom line is not the bottom line. Because if I'm happy and I bring 5 other people, have I increased your bottom line? You damn right. If I'm not happy, but I come back, it's just me.
Right.
And when I was growing up, my mom used to say, boy, you can't see the forest for the trees. It's like I'm so heavily focused on this tree, I don't realize you got a forest around you.
Good point. Good point.
Right. So I think, and when you're a business owner, there's an ego thing that happens that doesn't allow you to be vulnerable to accept training, criticism, critiques, things to you don't. I'm taking the risk. You ain't gonna tell me how to run my business. This and all these little.
Or I've been doing this long enough and been successful enough that obviously I know what I'm doing.
Right.
I can't. There's nothing that you can teach me.
Right.
I can see that.
So then you end up in a situation where you're out of touch with the people that spend the money in your establishment. That is the death of your business. And it may be a slow death, but it is the market. When you become out of touch with the people that are spending the money in your place.
Yeah, that makes
But
sense.
the only way you can't be in touch with them unless you communicate with them, unless you care about them, unless you want them to be more educated and better consumers and all this stuff, right? It's not like selling cars. If I sell you a car today, it ain't like you're gonna come back and buy a car tomorrow. Right? You bought a car, I might not see you again for 10 years. But even the car salesman understands that if I sell you a car and I give you a great experience, you might tell your friends to come buy their cars from me.
Yeah. And 5 years down the road, you might come back and buy again.
That's right. Or at the end of my lease, I'm gonna definitely bring it back in and buy from you again. Like
Yeah.
but
yeah.
it's missing. It's missing.
I hear you. So Tony says, whatever the industry, you have to have people passionate about the business working at the shop. Oh, that's for sure. Or else it's not there. Yeah, that's tough. That's the tough part, is getting people passionate. And I just think people, lose that out. I think owners will lose that after a while if they're not careful, if they're not always trying to excel.
Right.
Like I think of this one cigar shop very nearby. Mm-hmm. When they first started, the owner took over the business from one of their other family members and operated sharp, very sharp. Went out of their way to do everything for you.
Yeah.
And they built their business on that. But after a while, a couple years in, they thought that they had their golden goose. And they've always done very well. But it's like, you don't really, a lot of people that I know don't go there because they lost that touch.
Yeah.
Or they decided not to have that touch anymore.
Yeah, but they don't understand the components of business, right? And there are some very distinct areas of business that most people don't get. The reality is that, at the top of the food chain is the visionary. That person has to have a vision for the business and where it's going to go. And they have to have a respect for the history of where it's been, right? And what's the purpose of them existing? So you take away that and you just have the operations person, the fuck is gonna happen? That means that you're not gonna, like in the documentary I was telling you about with Jeremiah Tower. He's like, when he came back to Tower on the Green, he was like, you got cocktails at the table, no cocktail napkin. How is that possible? And so he says, put a cocktail napkin under every. So the guy said, he's like, the owner's like, we got to take it to the committee. What?
Oh, yeah.
You got to take it to the committee to figure out whether or not a drink that somebody bought deserves a cocktail napkin? What committee can tell you that that's the right thing or the wrong thing to do? You should instinctively know as a business owner, that's a cocktail. Let me make sure I have a napkin.
Well, the napkins cost money.
It does, but it costs a lot less than the cocktail.
Well, that's true. But
Right? So, it eats.
it's the forest from the trees again.
Right. And if you're concerned about the cocktails cost, the napkins cost, then you use reusable napkins.
On that note, I guess we should wrap it up. We're here.
Oh,
We've been
yeah.
doing this
What
a bit
time
longer.
is it?
We're
Oh,
almost
wow.
3 hours into it.
Wow,
It's
I
always a good
realized
time.
it.
What did you light up this last one here?
Well, I figured we were going to be wrapping up soon, so I just lit up a cane F.
How are they nice?
Oh yeah, I love the cane Fs.
all right,
The cane Daytona is one of my favorite canes, but the cane F is a nice cigar too.
Tony's heading out too. Thank you,
Yeah.
Tony.
Thank you, Tony.
All right, so that's going to be it for this week. Thank you very much for tuning in. Next week is going to be our... Actually, is that right? Next week is the 25th? Or
Well, no, next week.
7 days to 22nd. So next week will be our actually 1 year anniversary doing this show.
All
Can you
right.
believe that 1 year? My gosh.
Congratulations, man.
We're still sweating it out. So be sure to tune in next week. We'll have more cigars, more coffee. Really appreciate you spending the week, the tonight with us. It's been a little bit longer show. Thanks, Cirilo, for coming out. Always good to have you.
Sorry for talking so much.
All right, so thanks so much. Have a good weekend. Enjoy the week. And we look forward to seeing you next time.